All right. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are going to get started here pretty soon, but I'm going to just kind of get everything warmed up and wish you guys all well. So, super excited for this. Let me know in chat if the microphone volume is good, too loud, too low. Got a different mic, so it might sound a bit different. So, keep me abreast of anything that you guys are seeing or not seeing, and we'll just kind of chill here for a minute, let more people trickle in, because I do think there's going to be some folks here that come in just a few minutes, but good to see everybody. One thing I was curious about is where you are in the world. So if you let me know what current time you have, obviously time zone is helpful, but if you guys want to drop your current time in the chat, I'm curious about doing more of these streams, and I'm just curious what time kind of works best for everybody. So whether that's, I'm not sure what that time is. So let me know. So Brazil, you're probably in a very similar time zone to me. Bunch of Europe, 9 a.m., 7 a.m. Oh man, it's early for you, Carolyn. Bunch of UK. Awesome. Okay, so Finland, 4 p.m., Missouri. Sweet. All right. We got people from all over the world. We have some San Diego, 10 a.m. in Florida. Awesome. I'm in Florida as well, but I'm in the central time portion of Florida. In 3 p.m. Central. Taylor, UK gang, Netherlands. Awesome. Okay. So it seems like this is a decent time for everybody. One thing that I know is there are some folks in Australia and also overseas, like in Asia. So for those people, I don't think it's going to work. Chris, good to see you, man. Another Floridian here. Stoked to see all you guys. Yeah, so that was one thing I was curious about. And also, I am wondering for you, Michael, wow, South China, it must be super late or super early for you, right? I wanted to ask as well if doing regular streams is something that you all are interested in, because I actually enjoy the streams, quite honestly, more than the videos, I believe. It's just so much more engaging, and to be able to interact in real time with all you guys, and gals, I should say. So I've been considering, I have some notes over here, which is why I keep looking down at my desk. I've been considering doing some streams like on Tuesdays and Fridays or something like that. The topics would vary, and maybe sometimes it would just be like discussion and chatting. So that is something that I've been kind of toying with a little bit. So I'd definitely love your feedback on whether you'd be interested in somewhat regular streams like that. So that was one thing I wanted to bring up. And then the other thing is that if you have emailed me in the last week or two, there's a pretty good chance I haven't gotten back to you because I've just been inundated with emails on, the Permaslug email, and it's difficult to respond because typically people are sending me extremely long emails and they need help, but I don't really have the capacity to help them. So that's something I just wanted to mention. I'm not ignoring you, but sometimes I just can't respond. So let's see. Jill says, I'd like that. Hi from London, and the streams are great. Love the problem solving. Yes, perfect. Okay, great. So seems like there is interest in doing some regular streams, which is awesome. Let me actually switch over here so you can kind of see what we're going to do today. So John, yeah, you are totally right. Live is good, but also a lot longer. That's absolutely true. It definitely is a bit longer. I've also considered doing something that one of my favorite video game streamers does, where he kind of chops the videos down. So he'll do the live streams and then he'll make bits and pieces like tutorials out of those, which is what I would probably end up doing as well. So that's kind of my plan. We'd have the live stream, and then also there would be videos available after the fact that would be much more condensed. Not as polished as a typical video of mine, but definitely something that is worth considering, I think. So let me message someone real quick, because I know that they were supposed to come. Let's see real quick. You joining, question mark? We live. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, the point of the live streams would be that we would do this really engaged, keep everything kind of fun and interesting, and then I would chop it up and make regular videos so that you would have access to that tutorial after the fact. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But what we're going to do today, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know we are at, let's see, how long have we been rolling right now? 8 minutes or so. Chris says, longer, I assume you're going to nail that down within 30 minutes. Yeah, I don't really know. we'll kind of see. So basically what we're going to do today, as you can see here on your screen, we're going to be working from a Figma mockup, which actually is really interesting because in the past I've worked off of XD mockups and those are great, but honestly I find Figma is just, to be honest, it's just way easier to work with. It's more intuitive. It's just easier to extract the elements out of that you need, and I actually really like it. So we're going to be working from Figma, and as you can see, we have a number of different layouts here. So we have the different headers at different screen sizes. We also have an iPhone mockup, which is essentially just our desktop version kind of collapsed like we would do anyway. But what we're going to do is basically take the Permaslug homepage and we're going to get it to look like this. Now, I think what I'm going to do for these up here is use the Oxygen Composite mega menu, and that will give us this effect. So it's not really going to be a mega menu in the sense that, you know, there's all kinds of different things on it, but it will give us this effect, and it works really good on mobile. So I think that's going to work nicely for us. As we scroll down, just to give a brief overview, I can actually zoom in on this a bit so you can kind of see it a bit better. What we're going to do with this one, and I changed up my screen setup here, so I'm just double checking that everything looks good. Let me know if you guys have any difficulty seeing things, and I will make adjustments accordingly. But essentially, we're going to take this layout that you see right here and convert it to the home page, like I said. This whole section right here, we're going to use grid because this isn't going to be a repeater. This will just be some static content blocks. So we'll build some divs and use grid to achieve this layout. So we'll stick a video in here. This will just be one div with some text, of course, and then we'll style these divs accordingly. And I'm going to try to use sort of my own utility classes. So I'm going to come up with some utility classes on the fly for things like padding and margin and so on. And then that way we can try to keep things extremely consistent. Moving down here, this will just be another grid. I'm going to be using a lot of grid in this video, in this stream. And so essentially, we're going to have just our two divs on the left and right. This one over here is just a simple screen grab. It's a photo. And then over here, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do the tooltips, but that is where this video right here from Elijah, I don't know when that was. It's been over a year now. Wow, like a year and a half ago. Where he essentially makes this mega menu and it's like this pop-up, which I think is going to work perfectly for like a basic little tooltip. It may or may not work. We might not be able to achieve it, but we're going to try. The reviews, we're just going to use the built-in Oxygen slider, and we're going to adapt these. I'm not sure yet if I want to do it to be dynamic or if I want to just basically build it in Oxygen. I might do it dynamic possibly, but yeah, I'm not sure just yet. And then this section down here is going to be pretty cool. So basically what we're going to do is I have this image, and Figma is so nice because it lets you export these images super easily. You just click it, and then over here there's a little export button. Josh, Bradbury, nice to see everybody. Hopefully the notifications didn't come in too late. What I was mentioning real quick is just what we're going to do today. So we're going to rebuild the Permaslug homepage. According to this mockup, we're using XD, and I was talking about our menu options, which are up here. And then we were looking at this other content, just briefly giving an overview of what we're doing. So this is going to be relatively simple. There's just a background image here. I think there's a gradient on top of this. I'm not sure where that gradient is exactly. Let's see. I'm not exactly sure where it is. We'll find that in a minute. Dennis asks, did you make the Figma design or did you have a dedicated designer? It looks really good. Appreciate you saying that. It was a designer that I work with. And yeah, so this was not me, but we're going to convert it on, into Oxygen. So then, of course, what we're going to do for the recent posts is just use a repeater, and we're going to build this layout. This one's going to be relatively simple to achieve, especially now with grid. It's going to be very simple. Did I just see Taylor pop in there? Taylor, yeah, there he is. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. Hopefully, let's see. I don't know what we have here real quick. Let me double check. So yeah, that's all we have basically is that repeater, which is going to have our posts. So of course, you guys are probably familiar with all of these. Those are just posts on the Permaslug website that correspond to the videos on YouTube. And then the footer down here is pretty basic. The other thing is, of course, the mobile mockup, like I mentioned, which, as you can tell as I scroll around, is essentially just the exact same thing, but just collapsed. So really the only difference is like this little credit card field kind of gets cut off, but I mean, it's so big that it's fine. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, what we're going to do is I think I'm going to work on the page content first, and then we'll come back to the header, or maybe we want to do the header first. Yeah, I guess we could do the header. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to switch over here. In my Oxygen templates, I have a ton of these. Lots of them are a mess. So what we're going to do here is find our all pages new template is what it's called. So you can see I have all pages new, new to, test, all kinds of junk in here. But I'm 98% sure the all pages new is my template. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into Oxygen. And I changed some things over here in the streaming software. So hopefully it doesn't kick it out. I want to make sure the page loads properly. Christopher asks, let's see. Are you going to work with an outer main CSS grid too, or will you work with multiple sections? I'm just going to work with multiple sections. I will actually have to change the page width because I think right now it's just the Oxygen default. Let's see real quick. Width and breakpoints. Right now my page width is at 1200 pixels, and I'm pretty sure this mockup is at 1440. So let's see real quick. 1440, yeah. So we are going to have to expand that a bit. So yeah, that won't be too bad. So let's go ahead and just do that. So this might mess up some of the layouts on my site currently, which isn't really going to be that big of a deal, but we're going to go ahead and just switch this to 1440 pixels for our page width, which makes it a heck of a lot wider, but it will look nice. Chris says, I was thinking to have the wrapper be a CSS grid already and stick headers and stuff in there. Yeah, I guess you could do that. I'm not exactly sure what the benefit there would be. Maybe unless I'm missing something, perhaps you could expand on that. So what I'm going to do is just first of all, start with a div, and we're going to stick this all the way up at the top. I'm going to change this tag here to header, and this is going to be kind of the main container for all of the stuff that we do in the header. And of course, I'm going to switch back and forth between the mockup here, but I'm going to go ahead and just start naming these classes so that we have them. I'm not entirely sure that we'll need it, but let's call this PS header wrapper, or maybe wrapper or container. I guess it'll be wrapper. It doesn't really matter. All right, so we're going to call that div PS header wrapper, so now it has a class. Also, like I said, if you have any trouble seeing anything, let me know. I did change it. I tried to bump up the quality of the stream, so hopefully things are a bit more crisp and clear for you guys. And then, of course, we are going to have a background, which is kind of this nice gradient here. So I think, again, this is that same photo from before, but there is a linear gradient here, which is going to look really nice. So if we take a look at this, then I'm not exactly sure how we replicate this gradient because I see our two colors here, and then it looks like the gradient sort of begins on like the right 60%, except that it's purple first and then blue. So this is going to be purple on the left side. So let's copy this hex color. We're going to come over here, and in our header wrapper, we're going to go to background, gradient, and then we're going to add two colors. The first one here is going to be this purple, and I'm going to save this as a global color. So we'll call this PS purple. And then our other one is the blue. I'm imagining we're going to use these global colors a lot, so this should be pretty handy. Elijah says, good morning. Doing a build from Figma Design now as well, so looking forward to your process. Thanks. Super stoked to see you here. You were the one that got me on the Figma train. I think it was last year sometime. I'm a big fan of Figma now. All right, so going over here, we're going to stick in this other blue, and then we're going to actually save this as a global color. I didn't mean to click that. So PS blue new, I'm going to call this because I'm pretty sure I already have a blue there. And then we need to change our angle. I think it's 90. And then our percentage, let's see, in our mockup, actually it looks pretty consistent. Let me zoom out a bit so we can see the full width here. So we have our purple kind of on the left side. It looks like it blends about 50% and then goes off to the right. Figma train, whoop, whoop. Yep. All right. So just trying to compare a little bit here. So it looks like the blue is blending with the purple pretty consistently to how the other one is. So now what we need to do is figure out where that image is behind the header, which is that right there. And then we can go to export, image, and then I'm going to rename this. So I don't think you'll be able to see this. So I'm just going to rename this header background image. And then let's go to our div, background, image, and then we're gonna go header background image, toss that in there. Glad to have you. I'm glad you didn't miss it. Okay, so now we have that image applied, and then do we need to go to cover or contain? Why is it not showing up? Is it because I added it to a class and not the actual div ID? Yeah, it is. So do I have to do the, already running into a problem. Do I have to do the background gradient on the ID instead of the class? That'll be kind of weird. Hey Stratos, good to see you. Let me go ahead and just do that just to test. So under background gradient, or do I have to add the gradient via CSS so it doesn't overlay that photo? Well, I guess it might be something to do with the opacity, right? Or no, not 50. What am I doing? I need to go 90 on the angle. So is there color opacity set here in this mockup? Let's see, where did our gradient go? So in the mockup, the gradient is linear at 100%. So set the colors to transparent or change your background blend mode. So background blend mode would be, I actually don't know. I never play with these background blend modes. So normal is obviously not the one we need. Or change your background blend mode. So which one? Multiply? Oh, is that what we're after? Sweet. I didn't know that. So actually, now that we've done this, can your gradient apply to the class? No? That's kind of a bummer. Unless I'm just not, aware of what we're doing here. But in any case, this does work how we want it to. Multiply or overlay. I want to try overlay just to see what the difference is real quick. So multiply works, and then overlay. I'm not exactly sure which one is closer. So that looks reasonably similar, I would say. I think I'm going to go with overlay. I wonder if it says it here in Figma. If we go to this header mask, that says pass through as the blend option. Is that an option here in Oxygen? No, I don't see it. So I'm just going to go with overlay. The background image must be on the class as well for the background blend modes to work. Okay, so that is totally fine. I'm happy with that because I'm only going to have one of these across my entire site anyway, so really it doesn't make that big of a difference to me. So now we have over here on the left side the white logo, which actually I don't think I have exported into my current site. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. And once again, I'm just going to rename this file. So we're going to go Permaslug logo.png. And then we're going to add in an image element, browse for our image, and stick that guy right in here. I think this is already sized appropriately, which is perfect. So 100 pixels. And over here, it is 100 pixels. Now, one thing that's really cool, kind of like XD, is that if you hold the Alt key, you can see the spacing around the elements between the kind of container. So it looks like we have 40 pixels on the left and then 16 on the top and bottom. So what we're going to do is actually just go back to our main div here, and we're going to go 16, 16, 40 on the left, and then I'm assuming it's also 40 on the right over here, except, yeah, it is 40 right there. So perfect. We can just go ahead and add that 40 pixels to the right side of our container over here. Keep things really nice and spaced out. And then what do we have next? We have our text links for our menu. So this should be pretty straightforward. So let's see, what do we have? These are the font of Montserrat, and then semi-bold, which I'm assuming is like 600 font weight. And then it says size 14, so we'll play with that. 14 is typically pretty small, but we're gonna go add in some text links. And let's set a class here. So PS header links is what we'll just call this one. So our text color, I believe, is white. If we need to change it, we'll come back and do that in a moment. Our font is, actually, I don't know what our global fonts are. So let's go take a look. Not global colors, what am I doing? Fonts. So Sophia Pro and Roboto, those we will probably need to change because I actually don't know what font this is. So this one is Montserrat as well. Is it all Montserrat? Yeah, it looks like it. Stratus says, why is the logo not aligned with the content? That is because I changed the page width here because the mockup is wider than my current site. So this is just going to be, there's going to be little nuances here that don't quite match up across the site, but I do plan to go through every page and every template and rebuild these to match the new style. I just haven't had a chance to do that quite yet. So let's see. One thing I'm going to do is actually let's wrap this text link in a div. And then I think I want the image to be inside of that as well. And then this div, we are going to just set as horizontal and middle align, because in the mockup, if we scroll back up here, you can see that we have the logo and the text links kind of left aligned and the buttons over here on the right. So I'll create another div that will wrap these two buttons in a little bit once we get there. But while we're here, let's go ahead and just check what our color is here. So that is a full white. And then this one here, does it not change? It's so hard to tell. I'm like, it's like playing mind games with me. Like the colors don't look like they change. Oh, it's passed through 80%. So those have an 80% opacity. And then this one has 100% on hover. So that's kind of cool. So it stays full white. So what we'll do then is right here, we're going to change our text color to 80%. And then our hover color will just be full white, which is pretty neat. Then let's see, how wide is that container? We probably don't need to worry about setting the width of the one that wraps these links. We just need to set the spacing between them. So 40 pixels between the logo and the first menu item, and then 40 between that. So that makes it nice and easy. What we're going to do is on our PS header link class, we're just going to assign 40 pixels of margin on the right. And then so that I don't have to worry about changing the ID, I'm just going to this image and I'll stick 40 pixels of margin to the right of that. And then we probably want some sort of, well, I guess the color change there is so subtle that maybe we don't need a transition effect, but we'll leave that for now. So then we have a uppercase font style here. And then what else? Anything else? I think that's about it. I guess we would need to change the font size. 14 is just way too small, I think, because that says it's 90%. I think that's way too small, so I'm just going to leave it as whatever the default is, either 16 or 18. And we need to change this to uppercase. So home is going to be our first link, and I'm just going to do /home. Also, I want to make our image a link as well. So we're just going to make that /home. So add that. And then let's duplicate this a couple times. I think there's like 5 or 6 links. So the second one is going to be courses, forms, tutorials, courses. So that one is going to be /all courses. And then forums, /forums. And tutorials. And then what was the other one? Contact, and then for agencies. So contact and for agencies. Perfect. So tutorials, we need to set that, which I believe is just /tutorials as well. And then contact is pretty self-explanatory, /contact. And then last but not least is for agencies, which is my main agency site, which is that right there. And I want to set this one to new tab. So there is that. Now, this div is going to be essentially set, although I didn't change the global fonts like we had talked about. So just for the sake of changing it to what it looked like was Montserrat on the entire site, that's what we're going to do, is just go ahead and set everything to Montserrat. And then it looks like we need to bump up the font weight like I mentioned as well. So it said semi-bold. I'm assuming that's around 600, something like that. Strato says add a parent div for the menu items and tag it as nav. That is a good suggestion. Sorry, I'm getting a call here. So we're going to basically take, let's see, did I not put that stuff inside of this? Oh, that's the link wrapper for our image. So we're going to take these text links and wrap with the div, stick them all inside of that, and then set this as horizontal. This is going to be a tag of nav. Perfect. Good suggestion. I appreciate that. And then now we have this div right here, which contains our logo and our text links. And then we're going to add in another one inside of this wrapper here. So div, we're going to set this to horizontal, and let's just go with space between. So this one, we'll just add the class to be, or actually I'll just rename it here in the structure panel. So we're gonna go to rename, and then this one we'll just call buttons, buttons. There we go. And then this one we'll just call our logo and links to make it nice and easy. I'm gonna rename this one as well so you guys can kind of see what we're doing. This one we will call our header container, something like that. And then magically there is space underneath this, which I didn't ask for. So, oh, I guess it's because of this button div container. So John asked, what importance does the tag add? That's basically like the just semantics for SEO to pick up on, and also for screen readers, I believe. So I think it has a dual purpose there. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're gonna create, actually not this page. I want the Figma mockup here. So we have two different buttons. I don't see any like hover effect changes here, so I'm gonna kind of make these up on my own. And the login one, I think what we'll do is essentially invert the purple here. So when I hover over the login, I think what I want to have happen is the border change to purple and the text change to purple. And then this sign in, maybe we will add like a box shadow, or maybe we'll do a box shadow to both. Keep the buttons the same, and then we'll just do a box shadow. That's what we're gonna do. So instead of using the standard button, I think what I'm gonna do is use a link wrapper. So inside of our button div here, I'm just gonna pop in a link wrapper. Let's add a class of PS button, and we'll go white, I believe, unless we wanna change. Well, no, let's go PS button, and then we'll just call this one like reg or something for regular, maybe medium. I guess that's kind of a medium button. So yeah, we'll call this one PS button medium, like that. And let's take a look at some of the spacing here. So got a question in chat that says, do you think Oxygen is going to be better than Elementor in the long run? Because right now it's only the better speed because of less CSS, right? Not so much CSS, but also JavaScript, just cleaner code output in general. So, I mean, it's kind of subjective what you think is going to be better in the long run, but for me, I personally do. I don't see any reason why it's going to go backward, and I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that as well. So really just depends on your specific use case. I would honestly say that Oxygen is not always the answer, but it is almost always the answer, if that makes any sense, at least for me. So let's take a look at the spacing here. So this button is 122 pixels wide, and it's got a height of 40, and then the font inside of it is 14 pixels. So what about the padding? Sorry, before I go back out of here, can I see the padding? So it's 32 left and right, 10 top and bottom. So 32, 32, and then 10 and 10. And then we're gonna stick in a text element, and this one is just going to say login. I don't think I need to change. Let's see, let me go back to the button here so we can select the correct link wrapper. That's kind of a hard thing to say. So this link wrapper, I'm just going to set the typography on this class here to white, and then let's bump up the font weight to 600. And that looks pretty good, unless the font weight is a little bit lighter there. No, it looks pretty similar. I can definitely tell that these menu links are smaller though than the, or are they? No, these are just set to bold. Okay, so these are a font weight up. So instead of 600, let's go with 700. And then is there letter spacing in these? It kind of looks like there is. I don't actually know. So that's letter spacing of 10%. I wish that was a pixel, but can we go letter space? Oh yeah, you can. Sweet. So letter spacing 10%. I've never tried that, but it didn't seem to do anything. Let's see. If we go letter spacing of 2 pixels, then that works. Why doesn't the percentage work? Does it work on the ID? Let me get rid of this and then go back to the ID. So letter spacing of 10%, that doesn't actually do anything. Huh. Well, there's that. So I'm gonna go with the letter spacing of, I guess, 2. Let's see. There's some chat going on about whether Oxygen is a side project or not. No, that's definitely not the case. So then we need to set our border radius. Get me a little drink. Yeah, it's not my place to be what's the word, speculative on with the position that oxygen's in. I mean, it's been perfectly viable for like 4 years now. Okay, you are right, Jill. So it does have login as 2 words, which I think kind of looks better. So now what I'm going to do is add in a class here. So we're going to call this PS button med white, I guess. Kind of a long class name. I don't think that's exactly how we should name these, but that's what I'm going to do. So what we're going to do now is go to border. I believe it's white as well. Probably thicker than 1 pixel, but we can come back and adjust that to whatever it is. And then let's see real quick. So we have a border, so it's stroke 100% white. Where is it? So the border radius is that, right? So it's 100. And then I wish I could see the border thickness. Where is that? That says 28 degrees mixed. I don't see it. So I'm just going to guess here. I'm just going to go to, is it 100%? No, definitely not. 25. It's not a percentage, so I'm going to go with pixels. 25 looks pretty good. That doesn't look exactly right. I want it to be literally perfect. I accidentally added a stroke effect here. Or maybe it was box shadow. Not sure which one I did. I'm looking at the chat conversation here. Really interesting discussions going on about the viability of oxygen, which is funny. That question comes up fairly often, and yet it's been around for like 4 years now. So anyway, corner radius is set to 100, but I don't understand what, like, I don't know what the word is, selector, what unit that is. Let's see. That's so weird how your cursor continues. It doesn't do anything. That must not be where it is. I guess it's under the stroke option. I don't really know. It's good enough for now. The spacing looks a little bit odd though, so maybe the border radius is more. Is there a difference between 25 and 50? Yeah, I guess so. We'll go with 50 pixels. Strata says the letter spacing that you were trying was not in the text, it was in the link wrapper. Let me go back to that class here and typography. Letter spacing was 2. Yeah, it's on the class. That's what I wanted it to be, so that the next one also has that same letter spacing as well. So we have login, and then this link is going to go to, I think it's just /account actually. And then this link wrapper has how much space between the other button. I'm assuming it's actually only 16 pixels. Okay. So this link wrapper, we're going to go on the actual ID, because that's not always going to be the case. Go 16 and then just duplicate. Then this one here, we're going to delete that margin. On our buttons container, we're going to set this to horizontal, and that's starting to look pretty good. Now this other one is going to be, what does it say? Sign up. So we're just going to change this to sign up. I manually capitalized it there. So I actually am, just for the sake of consistency, going to go back to our button class and set the typography to uppercase. And then now we have this stat class, so we're already a long way here, but what we're going to do is essentially go PS button medium, and then we're going to call this one purple. And let's go to our background color. We're going to use our global class, that purple one that we added earlier. And then the border here is also going to be the purple as well. And I don't think we need to set anything like solid. And then we need our hover effect. So the buttons do look a little bit bigger on my screen than they do in the mockup. I'm not sure exactly where that disconnect is. Maybe it's font size or the line height on the text. Let's see. If we go line height of 1, does that make it look more consistent with what we actually wanted? So the line height at 1 does look pretty simple. I mean, pretty close. The line height of 20 here, I'm not sure what that equates to. Let's see. My only concern with Oxygen was the pricing model. It's great for me, very cost effective. Yeah. Amazing product and has changed my life. I mean, Phil says amazing product and has changed my life. That's absolutely true. That's what it's done for me. It's really yeah, it's the best tool out there for sure. And Elijah says market saturation will never be reached at the rate of growth of WordPress. That's definitely true. There's enough builders out there. And the other thing to think about is somebody's not going to stay dedicated to the same builder forever. They're going to switch eventually based on their need. So that was me. I used to use a bunch of different builders, and now I am permanently in Oxygen. All right, so our header looks pretty good here. Let me make sure that I have this sign up linked properly. I believe I want it to go to, let's see. So lifetime course package is our membership. So we're going to add that link. And so now these are looking pretty good. So we need to go ahead and set our header container to be a little bit more responsive. So let's save this and switch back over to our mockup. So let's take a look at what happens as our screen size shrinks here. So this one is 1440 and it drops all the way down to 720. Then it becomes a hamburger and our menu goes down here. So let's use, I think like I said earlier, the mega menu. Elijah says, if we reach market saturation, we'll be developing Oxygen from our solid gold spaceships orbiting Mars. I won't be worried about a subscription. Can I please come with you on that spaceship, please? I would very much like that. That would be pretty sweet. All right, so this is going to be a bit of an exploratory phase of this stream where we are going to try to add in a mega menu and then see what happens at our reduced screen sizes. So page container of 1440, that already starts to go pretty wrong, which is interesting. Perhaps that was an oversight in the mock-up here. Let's see. 320. That one's 320 as well. This is all the different variations of the menu here. So I guess this needs to start hiding a bit more. Actually, I want to go save real quick and take a look on the front end at what this looks like, because it might not be exactly the same. So that's 1600. 1400, so it starts to go wrong at about 1200 pixels. So I guess this is going to need to start shrinking and making some changes sooner than that. And actually, for the sake of this, because it is a live site, I'm going to set a condition here that the user role is equal to administrator, which is me. So I want to make sure that people aren't seeing a messed up site for now. So let's think about this. How are we going to do this to make it look decent at all screen sizes? I think I'm gonna have to just change the menu stacking and that mega menu to appear much sooner. Less than 992. You really can't see all that stuff. So let's go at 1440. And in our navigation div, we're gonna stick in a mega, oh, I don't have my composite elements. Crap. Okay. I guess I am getting out of WordPress and I'm going to take this over here, go double check my license real quick. So license, valid. Oh my gosh, my composite elements aren't working. All right, so clear out my license key. And then I need to go to my Gmail. I need to get my Oxygen license here real quick. Oxygen license key. There we are. Stick that back in there. Submit that bad boy. And then now we should be able to go back. Let's see. Refresh this guy real quick. Is my license key nulled? Is that what you're asking? No, it's the same license I've had for 4 years now. All right, so now I should have my composite elements. Yes, we do. Perfect. So now what I want to do is in this div here, we're going to stick in a mega menu. And of course, this doesn't look good even slightly based on our screen size at the moment, which is okay. We're going to work through all of this. So I'm going to stick our mega menu right here at the top, and I'm also going to rename this div to nav container, make it nice and clear. And this mega menu is, like I said earlier, not really going to be a proper mega menu, but it's going to be more or less just a drop down. Although I think what we're going to need to do, because in the mockup it has like a second row, we're going to need to leave the little activation button. I'm going to zoom in on this so I can explain this a bit. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. We're going to leave the trigger up here in the top, and then we're going to have a second div down here that just has this blue. Is that the same blue that's in our gradient here? No, it's not. I could have just looked and seen that. But essentially, we're going to have a second div. So that's going to be beneath this header container. So how are we going to do this? Because that has padding on the left and right, and that other one needs to be full width. So I guess I need to wrap this div in another div, and then that header container goes there. Then we're going to have another div below this that is 100% width, and we're going to add a class here of PS header row. I'm going to call this mobile because it's only going to pop up on the mobile. And then the color we're going to use is this blue right here. So this is a new global color for us. So we're going to set that, and then we're going to go PS light blue new is our global color there. So now, Elijah says, Jonathan, I'm playing with fire, but I put my license on keys on my Stream Deck. Nice. That's pretty sick, actually. That's a good idea. I'm sure there's some security, like, concern there, but depending on what it is, like for lifetime deals or things with unlimited licenses, I don't really care, especially because if somebody were to find it, you could go deactivate their license or ask the company to, give you a new one. It's not that big of a deal to me. I don't know what Bitwarden is. Is it just a thing that masks your license keys or something? What was I doing here? I forget. So yeah, basically I want to change this mega menu trigger if we scroll out over here. So our mega menu link, I think it's called, I kept calling it a trigger, but I don't really need it to have a label. So what I'm going to do instead is add an icon, and we're going to switch it to linear icon. I believe has the better looking hamburger. It's probably not called hamburger. I think it's list. No. Menu. Oh, it's menu, of course. So then in the mockup, it is white. So we're going to change it to full white. And then we don't need a background color on this. We also don't need the text. Excuse me. And then we also don't need the hover background color here either. Our icon here is much, much smaller. It is, let's see, 18 by 18 pixels. So we're just going to change this to icon size of 18. Ooh, boy, that's small. It's weird how this stuff doesn't correlate, unless I'm missing something. Like that says 18. I guess I'm going to go a little bit higher than that. Oh, good Lord, not 18, 25, 25. Bunch of discussion about Bitwarden versus LastPass. Yeah, I looked into the LastPass stuff, Stratos. I just haven't had a chance to switch everything. I have so much in LastPass. It's years and years worth of stuff that it didn't thrill me to start migrating everything. So around this, how much spacing do we have? There's really nothing special here. It just kind of sits to the right of the logo. So I think what I can do is basically just delete this padding here, and then it's going to handle most of this for me. So what is this div right here? So that's our mega menu wrapper, and that is going to go down here in this div, which is our blue one. So let me add some text in here to make it nice and easy to drag into. So I'm going to take the wrapper and stick it down there, and then I'm going to leave that alone for just a moment. We're still at our desktop screen size here. So this nav container I will leave as is. Our PS header links, we are going to, let's see, what screen size are we at? We're at all devices right now. Jim says, taking a breath from work. Love what you're doing. Awesome. Really appreciate that. Let's see. So I'm trying to think. Do I want it to hide at the page container? Probably not. Because that's a pretty wide screen size. So I'm just going to go less than 992 for now. And we're going to set these to display none. Hold on. Before I do that, I'm actually going to go back here. And inside of our mega menu wrapper, I'm going to delete our columns because we don't need that. So I essentially just need to duplicate these text links a couple of times. So this might be something that we end up changing in a little bit, but I'm going to duplicate all of these, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to take basically the second of every one and stick them down here. So courses, and then forums. It's probably a better way to do this. If you're furiously typing a better way, I am sorry. So contact, and then for agencies, we'll stick that down there as well. So Liam says, hey, Jonathan, do you use the built-in WordPress menu in the back end to create your nav links, or do you just create them from scratch? So these, as you can see, are created using text links, and I typically do that on less complex menus. So it would be advantageous for you if you have like drop downs or you want to be able to control your menu from the WordPress dashboard. But for me, I personally like to build them just because I have much more flexibility as compared to either of the two menu components in Oxygen. Okay, so for this mega menu wrapper, I'm going to leave those classes as is. And then what we're going to do, oh man, I should have added the mobile to these, but oh well. What I'm going to do is go PS header links mobile as my class name, and I'm going to copy this and paste it onto every single one of these links, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So we're going to paste that on there. And essentially what I'm trying to achieve is have the links in this blue bar, and this blue bar is our mega menu wrapper, which is going to pop up when you click on the mega menu button. So this is what we're building right here. If you're just joining, is this blue section right here. A couple of questions. Let's see. When I'm doing a 404 template, it always shows an archive page. Increasing template priority fixes this. Is this normal? Good question. I don't know. Taylor, if you're talking to me, I don't have Hydrogen installed, I don't think. No, I don't. So now what we need to do is, first of all, why is there padding right here? Oh, that's 32 right there. So I need to see how much padding is right here. So it's 20 top and bottom, and then it's the same, or is it just 20? Yeah, I guess it's just 20 all the way around except for the left and right edge is 27 there. Okay. The only difference making them with text links is that you don't get the normal HTML semantic structure, which uses UL, LI. Yeah, I guess that's true. Although, like we were doing earlier, you can set your div containers to have things like nav and stuff. So you could use a code block if you really wanted to get that, but that's not something I'm doing. All right, so this div right here, I'm going to go 20 left and right, and then what was the top and bottom? I forget already. Oh, it's 20 all the way around. That makes it nice and easy. So 20 pixels, and then John says, sorry if you covered this at the beginning, but how are you editing your live site when the current one is still there? No, this is the live site. So basically all that I did was set this div here, or actually it's this one. I set this div to have a condition that it can only be seen if your user role is administrator. And so I'm just going to change that to this one here. And I did user role administrator just so people don't see a messed up site on the front end. So that works for now. I need to set this real quick to 100%. For some reason, this one isn't reaching to the far edges of the container. There we go, 100%, got it. All right, so let me go look on the front end real quick. And does that activate it? It does. However, it is out of the bounds of the container that I want it to be. So let's see. what am I going to do? So layout, is it position relative, and then this wrapper? Is that going to be layout absolute? Not exactly sure how we're going to do this. So that breaks it. So that has to be relative. And then this layout is set as relative as well. Trying to see how I can restrict this to be stuck inside of this div here. So I don't want it to float up into the purple area. I just want it to appear here. Let's see. Make a mini wrapper. Actually, I think I needed to make this entire wrapper the blue background with the padding so that it pops up in the right way. So we're going to change this a little bit. So our mega menu wrapper, we're going to have 20 pixels of padding all the way around. We're going to essentially undo what we just did there. And so now it should behave a little bit more nicely. That works reasonably well, although it pushes up to the bottom. So what about if we add something like, I don't know, maybe it's going to be roughly like 40 pixels of margin to the top, or no, that's bottom, whoops. 40 pixels of margin to the top. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Okay, so it's not quite 40. It's maybe like 30. And then, oops, did I refresh? So 30 almost. There's like one pixel gap there, which is, I don't know. I'm going to try 28, and I think that's going to be close enough. This is what I would be doing on a real site, and also if this were a tutorial video, this would have been edited out. Don't add top margin. Tell me what it is. All I wanted to do is just not bump up over the top of this container right here. Okay, so he says that will break it. Oh, right, because then you can't hover. If you do that, then you can't hover over the link before it closes. Use padding instead, then add a div inside the wrapper with the blue background. Got it. So then I need to use this one here, like that, right? Use padding instead, then add a div inside the wrapper with the blue background. Okay, so then this one, we were at like 28, so I need to be like 48, right? Then add a div inside the wrapper with a blue background. So I need another div, or I could do it the other way around like I was just doing it. So then would this one be 0? And then this one would be basically 48. Well, no, that doesn't work. Add the padding to the mega menu wrapper itself. So I had 20. So let's see. So that kind of works, but I need to set the Z index of this guy to be higher for our header container. So let's just go like 10 or something. I think that's what you're telling me to do. Hopefully you're not screaming at me. No? A little bit closer, I guess. So our mega menu has that padding. I'm going to wait here for you to type out what you're trying to achieve. Add the padding to the mega menu, then remove the background color from the mega menu wrapper. Background color, bam. And then add it to this div, right? Like that. Then add a div that wraps your links with the blue background color. Oh, so I need another one. Div, text, link inside the div, go. I was being a little too impatient there, I guess. Okay, so this background color will be that blue, horizontal, 100%. Then this one had the 20. I'm assuming I need to go delete the other padding on this, so it's just the 28 instead of 48, like that. And then refresh. There we go. Okay, sweet. Thank you. So when this is open, the structure panel. Oh yeah, my picture is in the way of the structure panel. Whoopsie. Okay, so that's as far down as I can scroll. I wonder if there's a way for me to like temporarily hide this or like move me out of the way. So in that particular situation, this is what we've achieved. So let me collapse some of this stuff real quick so you can kind of see what we've done. So we have 2 header containers. Taylor, thanks for hanging out. We'll probably be here in a little bit. How long have we been doing this so far? It's already been an hour. Wow. Pretty insane. Okay, so we have a header container, which is this whole section up here that has our logo, our links, the mega menu button, and then our login and sign up. And then we have a second div here, which is essentially a row that has our mega menu container. And this is what's going to pop up on mobile devices. So now what we're going to do is take these header links, picture in the top right. That won't really work because then it's going to cover up a bunch of stuff over there. So I'm just going to stick this back down here. All right, so now what we're going to do is take our desktop links and at like maybe 1440. I'm going to go one more. We'll play with the 1440 later. At less than 992, we're going to set PS header links to layout of display none. And then in our mega menu wrapper down here, we're going to set our mobile link class to layout display flex like that. And then this is already getting pretty compact. So we probably need to bump down this font size a little bit, maybe like 16. And that still doesn't, it still doesn't wrap properly. So maybe I'll delete that one from the header for now. And then as we go down a little bit at 768, let's set this div to stack vertically. And then our mobile class, let's add some margin underneath these. Let's actually take a look at the mockup real quick and see, because there is a vertical layout in here. What is the spacing between these elements? So it's 16 pixels of padding beneath that. And then it's centered. Yes, it is. So we're going to set this to this div here. We're going to go to center right there. And that looks pretty good. Now on this last link, we don't need that extra padding, or excuse me, the margin at the bottom. So we're going to set this to a margin of 0 there to make it consistent on the top and bottom. And then we do actually have the buttons there in our mega menu. So is it over here? So in that layout, it's not there, which is a little odd. But we could essentially achieve that same thing by just duplicating this div, which I'm going to do. And we're going to stick it inside of our mega menu wrapper. Let's go right here. Take this down there. So this is going to be basically, let's see. That's too wide at the screen size. Which one is this? This is less than 992. So maybe what we'd do, stack this vertically. Getting another phone call. People are blowing me up. Never fails. People don't call me ever, and then I do this, and everybody wants to talk to me. So did we not set that padding at the right breakpoint? Let's see, we did it at 768. Whoopsie. So I'm going to basically delete this padding here, and then at less than 992, we're going to go 16 pixels. This might not work, but we do need to go back to this one right here. And let's see, do we want to add this back? I think we do. It doesn't quite look, well, I guess it is 16 pixels, so that's pretty good. Let's go down another step here. So 768, that's where we need to add this padding back in. So 16 pixels. And then at 480, that's 2 crams. So we're going to stack these guys and then center them. We don't need the margin on the right side. So we're going to go 0 pixels there, but we are going to go 16 below that. And then we need to remove that over here, which should carry up all the way to the other breakpoints, right? Or are these still off? Oh yeah. So I need to go back to wherever it stacks. Right there is fine. Playing with this margin a little bit. So 0, and then I can go back to, where was it, 768 or 480 that I set that right there. So we actually don't need that there. So now this is what's going to happen. So this is not middle aligned. There it is. Now that looks consistent. So I'm going to save this guy. So this also, I forgot to do one thing real quick, which is to take this mega menu block right here, this whole div, and we don't need this to display on our desktop size. We're going to go layout is display none. And then our layout at less than 992, we're going to set that to flex. And so that works. So now let's go ahead and refresh real quick. So this is our menu as it sits right now. And then if we inspect this, we do probably have an issue still as our screen width shrinks, but eventually, let me zoom in a bit because it's at 40%. Once we click this, then we have our nice mega menu, which is super cool. Now it is a little bit clunky in the back end of Chrome, but I know from having played with these before that it does work perfectly fine on a real mobile device. So if we shrink this, oh, we need to get rid of the buttons up there. So right at 992, we can go ahead and set this whole block to, or should we? What happens in the layout here? So at 992, they're still there. At, what is this one? 720, they're still there. I'm gonna have to play with this a little bit because it's not quite how I want it. So 992, 768, 768, I'm gonna set this to layout of display none. So there we go. All right, save this, and this margin right here, or excuse me, the padding that we added earlier is still a bit too much. So I forget where I added that. I think it was on the desktop size. So 28, let's go like 26 pixels, save, and then I want to take a look one more time and see if we can clean up that little white line that appears. So yes, there we go. Tom says, hi Jonathan, I'm building a header with a hamburger menu, but in a new tab or F5 refresh on the front end, the menu opens for half a second without clicking on it. How can I fix this? That little flash, I think you would have to have some kind of preloader or set that to lazy load or something like that, unless I'm missing the issue there. All right, so that is good to go. So now we are going to work on our footer, I believe. Let's just double check the mockup. Pretty simple header. The only thing I didn't do was add hover effects to these buttons. So I am gonna do that real quick. I messed up this container here. How did I do that? What did I do? Oh, it's fine on the front end, but in the back end, for some reason, it's a little messed up. So I'm just going to change that back to horizontal, and hopefully I didn't break something. So now what I'm going to do is, on our PS button medium class, for basically all of them, I want there to be a box shadow. So all 4 of these buttons on the screen have this class PS button medium. So I am just going to go to the hover state, then go to box shadow. We're going to set this to black and 14%. I don't think there is a box shadow effect. I accidentally added one in the mockup. So there's that. So now there is a box shadow on hover, and then we probably also want to add a transition effect. So I'm going to go back to the original state, effects, transition 0.2. We'll use ease in out as our timing function. And now there'll be a little bit of a lift effect on those buttons, which is perfectly fine. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now we are ready to head all the way down to the bottom here. And let me collapse all this stuff in the structure pane. And I'm going to add a new div here. So this one is going to be our footer. So we're going to change the tag here to footer and width of 100%. And then let's go back to the mockup. So if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, then we have this guy here. So this one's going to be pretty straightforward. This is a perfect candidate for grid. So our whole footer is going to be this entire section here. So we're going to have 2 divs, this first one that's highlighted and then this second one down here. Inside of that, we're going to have basically 4 more divs that we're just going to use grid, make it nice and easy. So I guess technically you could do grid inside of a grid. I haven't done that. I don't know if there's any advantage to doing that, quite honestly. But basically we have 2 colors here. So we have kind of an off black, a lighter black, which is 242526. So we need to do a little bit of structuring right here. So I'm going to rename this one footer container, like that. Then we're going to add in another div. This one's width is 100%. I'm going to set this one to that black color. And then let me expand this so you can see what I'm going to do is add in another div that goes below it. And that one is the darker black. So what is this one? Looks like this. Once again, set it to 100%. Make that black. And so let's just rename these real quick to be consistent. So this one is going to be footer top. And then this div here is going to be footer bottom. All right. So now in our footer top, we need to add 4 divs, but we're going to add in, you guessed it, another div. And we're going to go a bit of divception here. So this div is going to be our columns. We're just going to call this one columns, columns. And then in that, we're going to add 4. So 1 div, duplicate it 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. So let me expand this so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this columns, go to grid, column layout of 4, and now it's basically going to fit the columns automatically. So this column, I think what I'm going to do is set to a width of 100%, but I need to figure out how wide this actually is. So let's see. Is there a wrapper, like some sort of container around this? I want to know what the padding is on the left and right here. Still a little bit new to Figma. So it's 100 pixels to the left, and then I'm assuming it's also, it's 195. Okay. So what would be a better way to do this? I guess we could just set the inner div to a max width of 1440. So we're going to go to, oh no, we would just do that on the columns. So we're going to go to size and spacing, max width of 1440, and our width of 100%. So there we go. And then it shouldn't extend to the far edges of its container. Yeah, it doesn't. So now we just need to set our footer top to just a center like that. Didn't really do much in the back end, but you'll see it's centered on the front end. So now we just need to go add in these contents here. So I could essentially just duplicate them out of my other footer, which I think I'll do, but we of course need to make some styling changes. So these headings are Montserrat. Says that they're black. Oh, it's the most bold, I see. And then it has a 40% opacity, but what color is it? It's white with a 40% opacity. So let's, in this div here, add in a heading. I'm going to use the tag of h3, which I might change later. And actually, before I change that, I'm going to add a class. So ps footer, not links, ps footer headings is what we'll do. Tag will be h3. Our text color will be white, and then it had a 40% opacity, and then let's see what else. Probably some margin beneath it, which was 20, and then our font weight was bold, so it's probably 700 or higher. So we want to add 20 pixels of margin beneath that. Typography, we're going to go to uppercase, and then font weight was like 700, maybe even more. I'm not sure what black is considered. I think it's 700. Strata says, why are you adding grid here? Just because it's easy. You don't have to worry about modifying it on mobile. I mean, I guess you could just use the columns element, but I prefer it this way. So the headings here are courses, community, courses again, which doesn't make sense, and then latest tutorials. So we will fix that. So courses. I'm going to duplicate this 3 times, stick this in here, and stick that. Oh gosh, come on. And then this one, if I can drag it, I should have hydrogen pack installed, but here I am without it. I'm going to do my trick of adding a text element in and just dragging that guy, deleting that. Okay. So now I probably should add some padding. Let's see it. So it's 40 on the top. And then there's a bunch more down below that, so it's 64. So in our columns, let's go 20, and then 60 and 60. So we'll probably change that, but I just want to get some padding here so we can kind of see what we're doing. So our headings were courses, community. I think I just had this as contact before. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's right above me. Yeah. Latest tutorials. So now I am, let's see. I guess I'll duplicate these links because they're already right there. And then we'll just modify the classes to suit our need here. So oxygen course, stick that in there, ACF, and then WooCommerce. And then community is forums, and then the Facebook group. And actually, these are looking pretty close to what we need them to look like already. It's just the hover color is wrong, I believe. Oh, well, it's very similar. So it's that lighter blue, the 337. So our hover is going to be this one, I believe. I wish you could see the hex color. Like if you hovered over the name, I would want to see not only the name, but also the color, like specifically whether it's RGB or hex. If it showed you that right there, that would be super awesome. Because sometimes I have colors that look really similar like we have in this case, but then I got to go check my global colors here. And in fact, I'm glad I did because this is not like precisely the same color from the mockup. So I need to take this 337. Let's add a new global color, light alt new, stick that color in there. And so now our global hover color would be this blue. So that's pretty vibrant, but it looks really nice against that dark background. And then our footer links, let's also go ahead and add, oh wait, I changed it over here. Oh well, I don't really care because this footer is going to go away pretty soon. So let's see, effects, transition, we're going to go to ease in out, and then our transition duration is 0.2. Let's see, that looks good. All those are linked up properly. So forums and Facebook group, there we go. All right, so now, oh, Jillian, that sounds horrible. Every single shade of yellow is a different hex. That is absolutely awful. All right, so I should have duplicated all of these before I started going crazy here, but we are moving right along. So this is actually relatively simple because of course we're just redesigning the site. We're not starting from scratch, so it is relatively simple. All right, and then this right here is an easy post. And what we're gonna do is just basically duplicate this. And this easy post, I'll just show you real quick. All that I did before was just basically go to the template. In the PHP, I just deleted everything except the title of the post. And then I believe I changed the CSS on hover. Let's see, where is it? So the post title, or is there even a hover color? Yeah, there is. I'm not sure where I did that, but it works exactly how I wanted it to, so perfect. Okay, so then we had one more section down below here, which is basically like a link to my agency site and then the social media icons. So more or less, we're just going to duplicate this div. And I hear you, Stratos. I'm not in a spot to be able to fix it at the moment. I'm going straight off the mockup, but I will fix it later on. So I'm gonna take this guy, stick it down in the bottom. And then our social icons, let's see. Those look okay. I think I might change this up. I might do this manually so we have a bit more control. So take this. Jillian says, and they paid a lot for the site from the original designer. Yeah, I've had some people who have designed mockups that have not looked good, even slightly. So not everybody is a designer. I will say that. All right, and then what do we have here? So 16 pixels above that text. Then this right here has some padding inside of it. Am I not zoomed in enough to be able to see this? What is the padding right there? Why doesn't it tell me? I'm assuming it's 16 above and below that. So let's go 16 on all sides, or well, actually, let's just go with the top and bottom. And then this div, we're gonna add in, I guess, 16 again. This text color, I'm assuming, is coming from, oh, well, that link, it's actually a link color. So the text color here, we're going to go with the light blue to make it indicate that it's a link. And then our social icons over here are kind of more squared off. So I wonder, can we do that with the built-in social icon element? It's also, it doesn't have the right padding below it, which I think is partly to do with the social icon element itself. Even though we have the 16 pixels of padding beneath it, it doesn't look like it's applying properly. Maybe it is, and I'm just blind as a bat. It just doesn't seem like it's working quite right. So we have square, and then does border radius work on this? I don't think I've ever actually tried that. It does not. That's kind of annoying. That's good enough, but I do want to bump up, I think, the icon size, or maybe the size between them. 20, make it a little bit more touch friendly. And then I think we do need to adjust this grid layout on mobile. So let's take a look real quick. 1440 looks pretty crammed, but I'm going to leave it as is. 992, we're going to stack. Actually, no. We need to go, not stack. Can we go grid column of 2? That looks okay, but we probably need to set our gap to something more like 35 or maybe 40 pixels. And then at 768, let's go grid with a column count of 1. That's so much easier than trying to manipulate the divs to fit exactly how you want them to. So that is why I used grid in this case. Now, if you look at this, the social icons as you get into the smaller breakpoints look super clunky in the back end. Is that the case on the actual page here? Let's see. Gotta get to the bottom. No, I guess they look fine. Oh man, it took us all the way back up to the top. Sorry. So the only things I need to adjust here really are the footer. So for some reason that link here isn't centered. So that looks okay at less than 992. Oh, I should have centered it there as well. I didn't really need to go down so far. I should have checked at the upper breakpoint. So that one looks good. So we're going to save this. And then now, because that footer looks fine, I'm actually just going to go ahead and delete this section entirely. So now we are good to go. I don't actually know what this code block is. Let's see. That is, I don't know. I'm fine with that. I'm going to leave it. So those have conditions on them. I'm not going to worry about that for the moment. So now we essentially have our main header and footer done in our mockup. So as you can see, here is the footer, just some slight tweaks from the earlier one, just makes it a darker version instead of having that lighter version. And then our header now looks like this. We still have the other one, which we can go ahead and go to, we can delete this one here, which I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that just yet. Everything should work. So login and register, all these are linked, tutorials, forums, courses, home. Let me inspect this real quick because I do think we have a slight issue on these screen sizes as it starts to collapse. So I guess you're only going to see that if you're on like a laptop screen size, like a 720 display. So I do need to adjust that, but what am I going to do? Maybe stack those buttons, I guess. I guess I'm going to do that real quick before we get out of here because we're going to switch to the actual page content here in just a minute. So at 1440, we could set these to stack. No, that doesn't look very good. I'm trying to think of a somewhat elegant solution. What if we were to set these divs to stack and then like left align? And then what about that? It still doesn't look very good. I know my designer is going to be upset with me. So horizontal and middle, I don't like that. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I'm just making it really worse. Let's delete this and then what is my solution going to be here? Too many items. I know, Kyle. Good to see you, buddy. Glad to have you here. Trying to figure out what would be the most elegant solution Yeah, Jill, good suggestion. Just say agencies instead of for agencies. That's not a bad idea. Well, the hamburger kicks in at less than 992. So maybe it just needs to happen at 1440. I think it probably does. I think it probably does. Unfortunately, which means I could leave the buttons there. So actually, yes, that is the solution. That's what we're going to do. So our link wrapper, let's see, nav container. So our mega menu at less than 992, we're going to turn that off and then go to 1440 and set that to flex. And then these links right here at 1440 are going to go, oops, layout of display none. And then let's double check that at 992, all that stuff still pops up. Yes, it does. So now I can take this container and leave it as is. So at our all devices, anything above 1440, the menu looks like it's supposed to. There, it looks like that. 992, 768, 480. Yeah, that looks perfect. So there was one slight tweak here. So I guess I must have accidentally set some margin underneath that button at excuse me. No, it just changes from horizontal to vertical. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with this. So now that works perfectly. And so our mega menu looks like this, just a nice pop-up effect. And then if I click off of it, it closes, of course. The little WordPress admin bar is getting in the way. Admin bar. Ha! So funny. Also use menu. What do you mean? On this nav container? It's set as nav. Is there another semantic for menu? I'm not sure what you mean. Are you saying add the word menu? All right, so that's good. We're going to move on here. And at this point, we are going to essentially start building. Oh, actually, I didn't mean to close that page. Whoops-a-daisy. So we're going to go to edit our homepage real quick again, because what I wanted to do is actually go ahead and delete the old menu, because now there's no reason to have two, and I can turn off the condition. Oh, so next to the icon. No, I meant to go to my template, not my homepage. All right. I'm not actually in Oxygen twice because I'm switching, so I'm happy to just ignore that prompt there. Yeah, I guess that's something worth doing. I don't typically add the word menu because I feel like that's typically pretty self-explanatory, but icon, let's go right next to it and we'll add text for the word menu. We will set this to horizontal, middle, set this guy to white, and then we do need some padding next to this. We'll go margin 16. All right, that looks fine. Do I want this to be uppercase? Yeah, I guess so. That'll be fine. All right, so we got that. And then now we're going to basically take off this condition here so that everyone can see it. Minimize this, and then let me make sure I'm deleting the right header here. So now that's gone. So we'll save this, and then we should be good to go. Okay. All right, so save, and then back to WordPress admin. So now what we're gonna do is go to our pages here. I'm gonna go to my home page, and then let's see. So short codes, I'm gonna copy this guy. We're gonna add a new page here called home 2. We are going to stick these short codes in from the home page. Do I want to do that? I'm trying to think. Do I really want to copy the home 2, or should I just, actually no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go edit the home page directly, and then that way we're just going to do exactly what we just did, have it so only administrators can see it. Jillian says, I would say it's beneficial to add menu because the lines are slightly faint on top of the background image. Okay, yeah, yep, I agree there. And then Jill says, I would think that anyone visiting your site would know that it's a menu icon, not all sites, but definitely yours. Yeah, I would agree with that too. A bit presumptuous, but it definitely works fine. You have a lazy load at the logo, loads after the menu. Okay, I'll deal with that later. I think it's a plugin that I have that's doing the that's doing the lazy loading. Jillian says there's no way my mom is visiting. Yeah, I'll give my mom credit. She would know. But my mom also works at like a business development center, so I would expect her to know that. All right, so let's switch over to the homepage real quick, or excuse me, the mock-up for our homepage, and let's take a look. So this right here is all going to be grid. I touched on that when we first started. Let's see, we've been going an hour and a half. Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that it would take me an hour and a half to do the menu and the footer. But in any case, going to use grid here, I believe, although we're not going to be able to get the video exactly to look like this, and that is okay because I think I really want the video to be like the real video, even though I know that's going to have an implication on page load. I'd rather have the real video than it being an image. They click it, and it takes them somewhere else. So we're going to have basically a grid layout here, which I think is going to be 3 wide and 3 tall. So just thinking about this before I start so I don't make mistakes here, and then I'm definitely still going to make a mistake, but that's the point of these live streams, so you can see everything in real time. So now what we're going to do is pop in, do we want to do a section or just a div? I changed the page width to be 1400, so I think we can just go ahead and use a section, but then it's going to have padding on the left and right. I don't really think there's any difference between the section and the div, but I'm just trying to evaluate my options here because on the sections I'm gonna have to remove the padding each time. I'm gonna go in div. So this I'm just going to set to administrator just so we can make these tweaks and not disrupt anybody. So width is going to be, let's see, but if we go 100%, we're gonna have to set up the alignment every time and kind of the width. So what is our spacing here on this? It's 100 on the left and right, or roughly. Is it 100 over here as well? Yep, it's 100 there. And then between here, it's 80, I believe. Oh, that's 100. Is it 100 down there? Yeah, okay, so it's 100 all the way around. So if we did that, we could do one div with another one inside of it that would be how wide? 1440, I'm assuming? I'm struggling to select these sections so I can see exactly how wide this is. Is there like a measurement tool in Figma? That would be super cool. If I select these, oh, there's the container. So that one is 1225 by 460. So 1225 is more narrow than our page width, which is 1440. So that would mean then that, not sure exactly how we want to do this. This is what I would be doing if I wasn't on stream right now as well, would be sitting here thinking about it. Except I'd probably get up and walk away from the computer and like walk around, like pace around my house and try to think about it. Oh yeah, maybe I can use Hoverify. I'll try that real quick. So this says canvas is 1400, but I don't think it's picking up exactly what we want it to because it's not, this isn't the actual HTML elements. Jillian, I'm glad you like it because this is exactly the point of me doing this. I enjoy it and it's engaging and people seem to really like it. Yeah, see, the grids don't quite work with Hoverify and Figma, unfortunately. But let's just make some presumptions here. So if there's 100 pixels left and right, that would mean that we could have one div that would be our main container, and then we'd have another one inside of it that would be however wide, roughly 1200 something. So that's what we're going to do. So this div here, we're going to set 100 pixels of padding all the way around, which we will almost certainly need to adjust for our mobile devices because that's a ton of space. Actually, just for the sake of curiosity, let's go look over here. So in this small phone, yeah, it drops to about 20. So I'm imagining actually this is going to be essentially the same thing in the future as well. So maybe we need to make up a class here because I bet this is also, oops, trying to zoom in, not scroll. I bet this is also 100 there. It is. So we need to make that adjustment in more than one place. What about right here? Is there 100? Almost, but that image takes it up. I bet you there's like 40 pixels of padding right there. And then what about down? Oops, gosh, keep trying to scroll. That's 100 as well. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is undo this padding here. Oops, clear that out. And then we're gonna just set a class here of psdiv padding, I guess, something like that. And we're gonna make this 100 pixels all the way around. And the reason why I'm switching it to a class is that so as our screen width shrinks, we can change it to, let's say like 75 at less than 992, 50 at 768, and then 20 at the mobile device. Jillian, I really appreciate that. The design I absolutely love as well. And it's really the idea is to be consistent with like the YouTube thumbnails. So like the Permaslug Facebook group, that banner changed, the YouTube styles changed. And so really I want to make the website match that and you know, everything to be kind of one really consistent brand. So I appreciate that. So now inside of this div, we're going to stick in another one. This one we'll set to 100%. And then Anna, thank you as well. Really appreciate that. We're going to set this to grid. Column count is going to be 3, I believe. We're going to change that in just a bit if we need to. And then we're gonna need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divs. So inside of this one, we have a div 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bam. All right. Inside of this, let's go ahead and stick in a video element. I might change this in the future once I figure out the load time implications and whether I'm actually allowed to put a thumbnail that links to YouTube. But then again, I don't really want people bouncing back and forth. I don't know, not sure. We will look at that later on. So let me go grab that video link real quick. Let's see, oxygen, where is it? Course, there it is, get link. And in this video, we're going to paste that guy in. So looks pretty similar, but not quite what we want. Now we need to go back to our div that's basically making our grid. And we want to set this right here to a column span of 2. And then I do believe that is our row span 2. We'll leave that as for now. That looks pretty close. So then we need our heading here, which is a font size of 44. So this one is going to be basically our, I guess it's technically the H1. So we're going to go PS heading H1. I don't think, maybe, I'm not sure. I'm just thinking in my own head here. So 700 looks pretty good. And the heading says supercharge your oxygen builder website. Can't remember if I used websites. Yeah. And then that's actually, it says extra bold. So I'm assuming that's even more than 700. Is it 800? Can you go 9? You can. I actually don't know which one it is. Super bold, I'm assuming, would be 900. I'd say sections everywhere with global style section set up for your 100 pixel padding. Yeah, I thought about that, but I have a bunch of sections elsewhere and I don't want to change those global styles just yet because it's going to wreak havoc on other parts of the site. So I'm going to do it this way because I don't have a whole lot of page content. So now that font size is 44. So we need to change that. So there's 44. And then is the color full black? It is. Oh, it's 333. So we're going to go set the text color here to 333. And then this global color, we're just going to call this headings like that. And then what's our margin underneath this? So we can scroll in and use our little measurement tool. So there's 12 between that, and then there's the line height. So I guess we'll just go 12 pixels underneath that, which hopefully will be good enough when you account for the line height, I think. We shall see. So we're just going to copy this text, which is Montserrat 20. Looks pretty light, and then it has a color of 666. So paste this in, and then how is that going to affect our body font? So elsewhere on the site, our body is a 4D. So this is a little bit lighter. So I am going to just set a global color here of 666. And then this will just be body light is the class I'll call that. Really doesn't look all that much different, but it looks okay. And then it has a 20 pixel size. So we'll go 20 here. And then what's underneath that? So so we're going to, I guess, add, what is our measurement here? I'm assuming it's 16 pixels right here. So that's what it's been in other parts of the site. So it's 24. We'll go ahead and do that to keep it consistent. And we're going to go link wrapper. And we're going to use our class. Jillian, we are so far from designs that cannot even distinguish color. Are you talking about accessibility, Stratos? You're saying people can't distinguish colors? Yeah. I lost my train of thought. What I was going to do was go the PS, I think I call it button medium, and then inside of this, the text is going to be by now, I guess. And in this case, this font size is much, oh, it's actually, it says it's 14. Surely that's not right. But in any case, this background color is kind of this pinkish red. Do we already have this as a global color? Whoops, I already have my settings panel open. So our colors here, we don't. So I'm going to add another global color. So this one is going to be just, I'm going to call this one red. I don't actually know the exact shade. It's more like a pinkish red, but that's okay. So we'll stick that in there. And then this link wrapper, we're going to use the, oh, actually, we need to add another class. So PS button and red is going to be our class. So background color is going to be our new one. And then where did we apply the border radius? Surely it wasn't to the class itself. Maybe it was. That's not what I meant to do. I guess I'm going to do that again. So our border radius, I think I set at 25, which to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure is exactly right. And also this, does that have a bit more padding? So that's 38 left and right, and then 10 top and bottom. And I'm just going to add this other class. So button purple. How much padding was those? Oh, it's not. It's not any different. Okay. Don't you have on your Figma designs a list of colors used? I don't know Figma, so I asked. To be perfectly honest, I don't know either. I'm not a Figma expert, but I kind of just go down the list here and pull out the colors. Welcome back, Taylor. Glad to have you, buddy. So this button doesn't quite look as big as it does in the mockup. And so what I'm going to do here is on this class, I'm just going to double check. So it's 38. Oh yeah, there is more padding there. So 10 and 10. I think I reduced the padding in those header buttons. So that is much closer to how it actually appears. Now this is stretched. So it looks like the supercharge is on its own line. So your oxygen builder is one line like that. So it's fairly close. And then there must be, oh, this is broken up as well. So video tutorials, comma, downloads, downloadable resources, templates, and more is kind of on its own line. So this stuff is actually not going to work well if I make these line breaks. I just realized. So I don't want to be doing this because on mobile it's going to not look good. So what about if I set the max width here? So let's take a look at how wide this is. Does it tell us specifically? Never put BR. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. The BR is not going to work. And then also the line breaks. I'm trying to think, what would be the best way to do this? I guess it's going to be max width. So let's just kind of play with this a little bit. Yeah, the line height might be a bit different too. It might be more narrow. Doesn't look like it has anything special for line height. And also, I can't help but notice, does that actually look bolder? Yeah. So this headline I'm going to change. So what if we do like 75%? That doesn't work. Max width. Can you do a percentage? I'm going to go with 320. Why does it not break that? Oh. That's super weird. How does that look on the front end? I wonder. Is there actually a break there where it's supposed to be? No, of course not. And then it also looks terrible. I really don't like that. So, gee, someone should, yes, someone should fix that. It should be you. No, I'm just kidding. Line height. Jill, you guys have screamed line height multiple times. I also made a mistake there. So I don't know, when you say line height, I don't know if you mean taller or larger. Yeah, that could work, Elijah. So if we go set this to a max width of like 320. I think 320 is too small. I'm gonna go percentage. Oops, not 3000, 75. Jillian says reduce it. The line height, it's not 1, not 2, 1.5, something like that. So then code block. So then this headline, hello world, comment out this PHP, and then CSS is going to be this headline, and then break word like that. All right, so is this closer? All right, I'll try 1.3. I'll try 1.3. So save this, refresh. Oh man, it's like one letter off. But then it makes all this stuff not stretch. I don't like that. Class with white space, no wrap to switch on off low res. This shouldn't be giving me this much trouble. Also, one thing I noticed real quick between the mockup and this was this spacing. What is this? So that's 40. I wanted to adjust the grid spacing real quick. Grid is going to be grid gap of 40. Let's see. Class with white space, no wrap to switch off. Class for first 2 words. So are you saying add a span to this and then add a class to the span? Is that what you're suggesting? Paolo says a beer should help. I still have coffee. It's only 10:45 a.m. where I'm at. It's not beer time yet. But yes, it could certainly be helpful. All right. Waiting for suggestions. All right, so span, supercharge your Oxygen Builder websites, and then this, you said class with white space, no wrap to switch off on. There's a bunch of suggestions coming in here, and I don't know which one I'm happy with, to be honest. Isn't there some implication for spans also not being like really like advantageous? Something about that? I can't remember. I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me. Supercharge your Oxygen Builder websites. Oxygen, your Oxygen builder websites. There we go. All right. I'm going to take off this max width and this div. So div with flex and text inside, and set the width for the div. Anna says, can I see this mock-up? Yes, you can. If that's too zoomed in, let me know. I'll kind of bump out real quick. I'm not sure why break word is breaking on individual characters, to be honest. I don't know either, because I've definitely used that before. For the sake of time and effort, I'm going to leave this as is, and we're going to proceed because I don't want to get hung up on that. Those sorts of minute details we can spend hours on and still not have a solution. So we're going to keep moving. So now in our mockup, and if somebody comes up with a suggestion that works, I will revisit that. So now we have these really colorful blocks, which are awesome. This is why I pay a designer for almost every project that I work on, just because it looks so much better. And Kyle says, I think by this point I had the whole tab site rebuilt. I think I saw you said it took you, what did you say? 17 hours or something like that? Which is really not that bad for how huge that site is. So we're going to export this image. We're going to export this image and then this one as well. Let me make sure it's that whole thing. Yeah, so that's what I want. I'm just getting these images real quick, and I am going to pop in an image element so we can go ahead and upload these guys. So upload, and I'm just gonna add all 3 of these to my site. And then this first one is this right there. And then this div, I'm assuming, is the purple background color that we already have as a global color, which I do believe is the case. So the 846 FD1 settings, slightly off, but just to be consistent, I'm going to use that. It's close enough. About 17 hours of working time. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think I could probably move through this stuff quicker, and I just try to slow it down for the videos, obviously. So what was our spacing around these? So we had 40, there's 20, 28, 40. So we're going to go, what's kind of the median here? We're going to go 20 top and bottom, and then 40 left and right. So I'm going to change this div to a class of PS. Let's go div home, something like that. So 40 top and bottom, and then 20 left and right. There's a slightly different color there behind that image, so I guess I do actually have to take this background color, so that's kind of a bummer. But, oh well, not too worried about that. So our color here was on the ID of this element, so we can't use the global, it's gotta be that guy. Exactly, Kyle. Yeah, you said you're in your own world, did it live for the WOM page, and it took me ages. Yes, totally understand that. All right, so now it still looks, oh no, there's just the purple from the padding that was looking off. So then this is left aligned, learn oxygen from the ground up. So that is a font size of 24. And Christian asked, what extension to show measurements? This is actually a Figma mockup, so I can just hold Alt and it shows me the measurements to the edges of the container. But of course, that's not the case in Oxygen. You could use something like Hoverify for like a real live site, you know, to like get measurements and see. I don't think it has like a measurement tool, but I did email the dev asking him to incorporate that, and he said that that was coming. So let's double check real quick. This spacing is 16, and then that one is 12. So we're going to just basically duplicate these out a couple of times here in just a second. So 16, then we're gonna have a heading. We'll just call this PS heading home features or something like that. Text color is white. Font color, or excuse me, font weight I believe is like 700 or 600. We'll double check that in a second. Learn oxygen builder from the ground up. And then our font size was 24 pixels, so we need to reduce that. Let's see. So that looks relatively close. And then I'm just going to copy this. So let's see, no, nothing in particular here of note. So we're going to add 12 pixels of margin beneath this. stick in our text element, and then in this div, I am just going to change the typography color to white. So now this is let's see, this is looking relatively decent, although there's 47 pixels of padding on the right side there. So it looks like this text element is not quite stretching to the full bounds of the container. And it looks like the same thing is true for the heading as well. So there's a bit of a line break, and I am going to set these to a max width of like 75. We may end up with the same issue as before, maybe 85. Yeah, 85 looks pretty good. So that's what we're gonna do. Set the max width here to 85%. And maybe it even needs to be more like 90. For the text, I think it's gonna be 90. Because the text extends a little bit past the heading. So that's gonna be perfect. So now I am going to go ahead and delete these two containers. Oops, did it not delete? There we go. So I'm going to duplicate this 2 times, and that way it should be a little bit more simple for us to go ahead and adjust this stuff. We need to change these colors. So I'm going to be switching back and forth a bunch here. Hopefully I don't make you guys sick, but this is what I would be doing on a real site. So copy this, and then I need the blue as well. And then we also need to set our thing to stretch. So is there different padding here? So that's 40 on the top, and that's 20. So 40, and then that one's 36.8, so 37. So I guess we need to add 20 pixels above this image. And actually, I don't want padding. I want that to be margin. And then it's still not quite perfect. So what's the spacing underneath that? So it's 16. So we need to go 30, what? 32? That looks a little bit too far. So that says 36.8. So that's not quite. Let's see. So 32 plus 4 more. Is that higher up? Me and Kyle were talking about this the other day, that when things are just slightly off, like even 2 pixels, it bothers me. So trying to just get this exactly right. All right, so now we need to change this background color. I think we already have this one as a global color, but once again, I am just going to apply this straight to the div, and that looks perfectly fine. Swap this image. So then we need to change that background color, and this one is going to be done for you resources. What is this background color? It's that 33C. I'm 98% sure once again that that also is a global color we have, but let's see, then this one is done for you resources. And then take this and go back over here and do that. Let's see. Kyle says, if I have content ready, I try to finish in a day, and the second day for cleanup. I have a white label client who gives me all the assets and copy, and it's usually like 5 hours for 10. Yeah, I can do, like Kyle said, I can do a full site usually in about 8 hours, like a full day. It takes me a long time to build, but I tend to build everything from scratch from a design in Figma like Jonathan. Yeah, so that definitely does take longer, I believe, but it's better for me. That's something that's not, somebody that's not a designer. The heading in the center column is not in the same height as Stratos says. 3 divs, the top one, let's see. Yeah, I think it's because the spacing is ever so slightly off. Let me save this real quick, and I want to look at this on the front end. So let's see, go to inspect, and then this grid tool. I thought there was a way that it would overlay all the lines, which I wanted to do. Oh yeah, it's like ever so slightly off. You can see if I hover over this one here, then it's just slightly taller. So that must be that difference of about 4 pixels that I was coming up with earlier, which was on, actually, I think it was on the bottom of this image. So it was technically like 36. So if I save this, So now, I guess I got to turn on these things again. Yeah, so there we go. That is actually lined up properly. So perfect. And then is this one lined up? It is. The widths are a little jacked up though because of the screen width right now. So I need to adjust that. Please make the gap even on top and between of the cards. Yes, I will do that, of course. Don't worry. So these between are 20. That one is 20, and then that one here is 40. Of course it's 40. So earlier I went and adjusted the grid gap to 20, but now what I'll do is on this div, can I add 20 pixels of left margin? I can. Perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. Strata, yeah, I'm getting to it. I work in weird ways. Don't you guys worry. So now we need to set these to stretch, I believe. Vertical is going to be stretch like that, and then the text is different on these. So just trying to take a look at how we can make these line up. We probably need to go to, let's see. Is it space between? Space between, I don't think gives us the alignment that we're, well, actually, I guess in the mockup, that is technically down at the bottom, which is kind of interesting as compared to these two. So those two are on the same line, and then this one is down. So you said match height of tallest child. That's what it's set to. It sort of works, but not really. Not the way I want it to. So if I take that off, then that kind of puts us down at the bottom, and then that doesn't give us the alignment that I wanted. Clifford says, why hasn't someone invented a Figma layer export tool? I guess you could, but the export is going to give you like SVG and just other graphic options. Wrap the title and text in a div and make space between. Yeah, all right, perfect. So we're gonna need to make some adjustments here. So div, set that there, and then that one is space between. The stretch though, I don't think we want it to be, this. Or do we? And then match height of tallest child. I guess it's gonna have to be, but it looks so much higher. But maybe not. Maybe not. Because there's 45 pixels of padding between that. There's 36 there, and there's 16 there. So 45, that's way more than 45. But I guess, what divs are you talking about? These ones? I don't really understand how that's going to solve our problem here. So stretch, I don't think that is going to work, is it? Oh, but yeah, that's the same thing. That's exactly what we just had. So there's no real advantage to me doing that. So stretch, and then I guess we need to do that same thing for these divs, and I'll just play with that a little bit. So that space between, this isn't really going to change anything. So there's that, and then space between. Okay. So then those are completely wrong. I don't think that actually got us anywhere. This is not... Jillian says, math, I hate it. I know. I agree. So... I don't know why this is giving me so much trouble. It shouldn't be that hard. I would say 3 divs inside each column. The column goes space between and then play with the inside divs. Okay. That's not a bad idea. Make the divs as tall as 2 lines. Josh, are you talking about in the grid settings? I was thinking about that. Are you talking about these? I don't think that's going to help. Oh, no, not column span. I always get column span and row span confused. Oh, wait, I need to go back here. That's not where I meant to be. So row 2. Are you talking like that? Because that, no wrap header in its own div. I had the same thought as Josh. Make the heading div height and the same as the 2 lines of text. All right, so basically, Strato said I would say 3 divs. On learn, have 5 lines, should have 4. Woo, there's so much going on. None of it makes sense. Let's see. Can you do polls? It would be cool to take all the suggestions people throw out for these things and poll to see which is the most popular. YouTube builds a website style. You know, I actually have thought about that. Like, people basically are like telling me how to design it, or like everybody gets a small chance to everybody gets a small chance to design the site, and you see how it evolves. Everybody gets like, 15 minutes at a time or something. Anna says, can we add those rounded corners? Yes, we can. So what is the border radius here? I wish Figma gave you, well, I guess it's 8 right there, but don't think it's 8 pixels, is it? I guess maybe so. That's good enough for now. So borders 8, that's gonna make it look a heck of a lot more clean. So borders 8, and then does that video have rounded corners? Yes, it does. So our video element, borders 8. I didn't know that actually worked, but apparently it does. Kind of cool. You donate $1 to make a suggestion. Yes, speaking of which, you can donate if you want. That would be sweet. It's a good idea. Josh says, take and wrap the icon in a div, heading in a div, text in a div, and then adjust with a class on each shared. I think it's pixel unit for border radius. Okay, cool, because earlier there was 100 for a button, but the 100 didn't look right, so I wasn't sure if it was actually pixel radius. I wonder if I will do it, Elijah. I was talking earlier about doing more regular streams, like doing Tuesday and Friday or something like that. So if you want this Friday to be a donate stream and we'll make literally anything you want, as long as it's not like vulgar, I'm down. Let's do it. Okay, so the only thing I could think here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a quick break and step away for just a minute. I'm gonna think about this. You guys continue chatting. I need to turn off my auto screen switcher thing real quick here. So I'm gonna take a quick break. Like I said, I'm gonna save this, think about it, and I will be back in just a few minutes. So hang tight, everybody. We're not done. We're gonna keep finishing out the rest of this homepage. So I'll be back in just a bit. Alrighty, I'm back, everybody. So, just catching up on chat real quick here. I saw Jillian said just bought Hoverify. Awesome. It's a really cool tool. I think I finally understand what you guys were talking about here with this div. And basically, if we set these, this layout here, let me go back. If we stretch these guys, then still not quite right. But if we were to stick some like margin underneath them or something like that. No, that's still not right. Crap. So if I set this one to 100, nope, 100. Why is there so much extra space there? I don't get it. So that's 36, but it should just line up because the image is smaller. Heading and text on separate divs. Wouldn't that be essentially the same thing as the heading and the text being outside of the div like it was before? So Jonathan, I'd recommend removing space between on the column divs. Okay, let's give that a shot. So all I wanted to do now, like these first two are correct. It is very hard to relay from chat. Yeah, I appreciate you guys trying to help. But you can see these texts have the same width. And then actually the text is lined up on all of them. So that to me means that I think I see what you're talking about now. So text div, take this out. Might be. So earlier we were talking about it being like 1.3. So let's give that a shot real quick. That definitely is an adjustment that needs to be made. Oh, and there's a class that I added, but they didn't end up on the other ones. Oh yeah, they did. Never mind. I just am not paying attention. I had a class, but I added it to the ID. On the done for you text, can you not just add a minimum height that equals the same amount as the 2 lines of text? Yeah. Yep. You probably could. So would your line height just be 2? That looks reasonably okay. Also, it might be because I changed these widths. I am not very smart, y'all. Sorry about that. So this max width ended up messing up this stuff here. And now why are these longer? What did I do to break that? There's 27 pixels of margin beneath that div for some reason, which shouldn't be there. So these are much, much closer now. So Jillian says, yes, adjust the text container versus the line height. Oh, in size and spacing, not the line height. Gotcha. So what about if we just added like 15, 20, 20, 25, 28? Can you go keyboard? Oh yeah, you can do keyboard. That's sweet. 30? 30. Yay! Yes! Let's go! All right. We're good. I'm done. We're moving on. Hope you guys are pleased with that. You can scream at me all you want. All right. Deep breaths, everybody. That took way longer than I care to admit, but it has achieved essentially what we wanted. But for some reason, there's a Hoverify situation going on here. Okay, it's just on the back end. Looks fine to me. All right. So there is an advantage to having long hair, is that I can headbang. Sweet. Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I'm not even joking when I say it means a lot coming from you. I really envy your design skills. And we're going to go back to our user role equals admin. I don't want this stuff being public just yet. Yeah, Martin, I always run into this problem when I look at it. I'm like, dang, this is going to be simple. And then after that, it doesn't it doesn't end up being as easy as it was in the mockup. Now we are going to move into another slightly challenging section here. No, I'm glad you're here though. Let's see. I personally not use padding because if you ever change the text and it's 2 lines, it'll mean changing the padding. That's not that big of a deal. Ren, stoked to see you. So glad to have you. Ren is amazing. She's the best. Yeah, so basically, with this here, let's see, Chris says, by using min height, even if your text goes over the 2 lines, it won't adjust the height of the container. Also, Kyle, I left the door open behind me now, just for you, so the boogeyman can come in and get me. But this one's going to be relatively simple. It's going to be a grid layout. The only caveat here is going to be these little tooltips. And I've had this video open this entire time because I am basically going to hack Elijah's layout here that he did for this mega menu video like a year and a half ago. And just basically make it appear on hover. So the tooltips, I think we can achieve essentially the same thing. So we'll double check. We'll just kind of play with this a little bit. So now what we're going to do is a grid layout. I think we're going to do a 3 column, and this photo is going to take up 2 of them. Or maybe we'll just do a div that's going to be 100% height. But yeah, let's just get going here. So there's that div. We're going to add in another one. So I'm going to go back to my body and add in a new div here. This one will be 100%. And then inside of that, we're going to need another one. We need to add that class. What do we call this one here? So this one was PS div padding. Remember we checked earlier and they all have pretty similar layouts. Kyle, he's not coming for me just yet. He's on his way to your house, he told me. So be ready. So what do we have as our background color here? So this is the 242526. I can't remember if I saved that as a background color. Elijah, I don't know if you heard. Oh, what? Why is the hex color appearing there? Is that the title? Oh, wow, that's smart. Although you can't change the global color like titles, what I was hoping for, which is what I was calling on Elijah for, is if you hover over the global color, it gives you the name obviously, but if you were able to see what actually exists in this field, like whether it be RGB or hex, that would be so nice if we could see that. Because I don't have that exact black color from the mockup, so it was 242526. We'll just stick that in there real quick. And I don't want that on the class, I want it on this container, 242526. And then, let's see, what do we need to do now? So this one, we will do, trying to think here. Jillian says yes. Kyle says yes. Sweet. Elijah, make it happen, please, sir. We know you're here. Maybe I actually don't want that padding unless I make the div. I wonder if I go with a background of that image here. So I'm going to take this, which is not really the best screenshot ever. But look, there's some straight up royalty in this photo here. There's Kyle, there's Sridhar, there's Elijah, Adrian, there's Ren, there's Gregory, Hillary, Steve, let's see, who else? There's Taylor. Look at all these sweet people. If you're not in the photo, I'm sorry, but I love all of you. Okay, so what I want to do here is take this image, and then we're going to export that guy. I'm going to try this. I don't know that this is going to work. Kyle, you gave consent by joining the group. So there is this image. No repeat. Let's see. Stratos, join the group. Would be happy to have you. So this image is 495 tall. So I am going to make this div a 495. Then we're going to set the background to left. Let's go like 50, 75, 75 roughly, something like that. Chris, welcome in. Oh, I kind of figured that was the case, Stratos, because I figured I would have come across you on Facebook by now. Let's see. So now this width, I'm just going to set this to like 25. This might not actually work. Maybe I need to push this background over a bit. I have no idea if this is actually the right way to do it, because how does it look in the mobile side of things? Oh no, it just takes up the full width. So I need to use an actual image element instead of the background. So I'm going to scrap this idea entirely. So we're going to get rid of this. And then we just have our div there, but let's go ahead and pop in an image. Put this in there, and that's actually already sized for us. So this is going to make it much easier. So horizontal, let's go with space between. Oh, is it not? Let's see. Yeah, I hate when the sound doesn't match up with the voice. Is anybody else having that problem? Anybody else not having the voice and like face match? It totally might be my garbage camera. Maybe it's light or something. No sync. Let's see. On my end, I'm trying to check on my end. It's so weird. I see it. Oh, okay. So Elijah said he refreshed and it fixed it. So it's working on my screen here. So it must be the stream is slightly out of sync, like from the YouTube side of things. So in the OBS software though, it works just fine. I can see it. It's like perfectly timed. Jillian, did that fix it? Okay, sweet. Jillian, thank you for watching the ad. I appreciate that. Certainly appreciated. Okay, so this width now. Oh yeah, it probably did happen after the break. There was probably like a desync there with the way that it came in and out. Alrighty, so that is 30% over there, but what is the width specifically on this container? So that says 365, but of course there's some padding on the right-hand side there. That one's 313. So maybe we'll go 300 pixels. Instead of width, we're gonna go 300 pixels. Oops. Is 330 the same thing roughly? Yeah, I'm going 30% width. In sync, yeah, buddy. I need to get some tunes playing in the background. That'd be a good choice. So now, also included in your membership is our heading here, and this guy is extra bold, 40, and white, which is essentially like our same styling from before, but I used the H1 class, so I'm just going to add this in. Extra bold, white, and then also included in your membership, I am going to change this whole div to, oh, if I can get to it, div left align. And then we've been using 16 pixels of padding pretty consistently, so I will assume that's what we have here. So there is 12 plus the line height, so 16 is going to be good. Chris, you caught me. All right, so this text here, Sandro says, I just bought Oxygen and I like working with WordPress again. Yay, welcome to the party. So then text, there might be a little bit of extra spacing there because of the line height of the heading, but that's okay. And then I forgot to check what the text size is there. It's 16, so I think it should be good, but it looks like, yeah. Well, actually it's smaller than that, but I'm leaving it as whatever the default is. And then the line height, let's go ahead and bump that up a bit because it's not the same, like 1.5, or is it 2? I'm going with 2. That looks good. So 16 again, I'm assuming, and then now we're gonna get into the fun stuff. So this could be another spot where we are hung up for a decent bit. So these are gonna essentially be like tooltips, and we're gonna play with this a bit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add in a div, set it, wait, actually before I change any width, I'm gonna add a class. So we're gonna call this PS tooltip divs. The width here will be 100%. Our alignment will be horizontal, middle, and we'll leave it at that for now. Maybe left align actually. Then inside of that, we have this checkmark icon, which if I can export this directly, I'm just gonna do that because it's gonna be way easier to just get this. And then pop it in. This is cheating, I know. I don't really mind because this is going to save us a bunch of time and I don't want to get hung up on a little tiny check mark icon. So this is what we're going to do. So that is 16. And let's go, let's see, what's the spacing here? So that's 8. And then this is Montserrat bold. So 8 pixels to the right of our icon. And then I'm going to close my structure pane here so it kind of zooms in a little bit. Then let's add some text. Then this is going to be WooCommerce course. Jillian asked, do you have a module about using classes to set up padding and spacing? Actually, not specifically, but that is a great suggestion. I am going to write that down because that's something I've been meaning to do for a while. Almost like utility classes for course. Yeah, that's a great idea. So I will definitely get that added. There's like a series of videos I'm working on right now as course additions. So that stuff will come in time soon. All right, so we need to change the font weight, and then it's white until you hover, and then it has that underline bordered blue, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's a really great habit to be in. And also, if you have the Oxy Ninja core, then it basically does it for you. So it's super awesome. All right, so let's add a class here. So this is going to be PS tooltips text. So we're going to set this text color to white. And then the font weight was bolder, I believe. I don't know if it was 5. It says it's bold, so let's jump it to 600. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then on the regular state, we're going to go to border, set it to white and 0% opacity with the width of 1 and solid. So it basically adds the space there. Elijah says, I also like to set up a few basic utility classes when I first fire up a build, like rounded shadow transition. Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely not a bad idea. And then on our hover state, we're going to go with the blue, which I believe is this light blue. Oh, not all, just bottom. So blue, bottom 1, and it looks bigger than a 1 pixel border. I think it's a 2. So let's change that to 2. And then we also need to go back to our original state real quick and change that to 2 as well. So then our divs, how much spacing do they have beneath them? There's 12. So with our div here, we're going to go 12 pixels on that class. And then duplicate that guy. What is that frame on your left? Oh, the frame over here? That guy right here, I'll grab it real quick. So I don't know what kind of music you guys are into, but this is from actually right before COVID kicked off. I went to a concert with my brothers in Austin, Texas to see this metal band called Cult of Luna. And my brothers are both musicians. And one of them is really good friends with one of the guys on the tour. So he got their set list. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably really hard because there's a glare. But he got their set list for that night and then also all their signatures. So all the dudes in the band signed this. And they had just released an album at that point, so they were touring on that album. And it's pretty cool. I've been meaning to hang it up over here. So I'm going to do some changes where I hang some stuff and get some better lighting and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's what it is. Good question. All right, back at it. So we need to add a transition effect here to that hover. So let's go to this div, and then I'm going to go to effects, transition. Here's where Elijah is talking about adding those utility classes. Would be extremely helpful because instead of the manually having to do this, it would just do it for you. Kyle says, can we also see what's in your refrigerator? Actually, you could, because I have some Indian curry chicken marinating for dinner tonight. So if I had enough and anybody lived nearby, you would be welcome to come normally. Maybe in the future. We'll all go to dinner together. Cheers to that. Okay, so now we have... Oh, does it not do it? I guess... did I put the effect on the wrong thing? Oh, so I guess I have to do this in a, let's see, in a code block. Yeah, for sure. Come on down. Also, I have one of those huge like shrimp boil pots, so we can do like a big spicy shrimp boil. My mom loves those, so she comes over and, yep, do that. Straight to the bathroom. My house is clean. You may not be able to see much of it, but the whole house is clean. Elijah asks, how many of you would come to an Oxygen meetup at the next WordCamp US? Me. 100%. I will be there. I was planning on going before COVID kicked off, to the one which I guess would have been October of 2020. But yes, I would absolutely be there. Drinks on Elijah at that event, that's for sure. Also, I said this before, but I really want to do... Oh, yeah, for sure, Stratos. I also really want to do like some travel in Europe for like an extended period of time whenever they allow us pesky Americans back in. And I would love to meet some of you guys in Europe. That's like a dream of mine to like, obviously, go to Greece and meet you, Stratos, and all the other Oxygen folks out there. Jillian says, I would, but I can't leave the country because Canada has a $2,000 quarantine for international travel. That is brutal. I don't even think that WordCamp US is going to happen this year. They, I think, are doing it online for 2021 again. So it's probably going to be next year that they do it, if, in person at all. Kyle says, if they were smart, they just never let us back in. Yeah, you're right. We are pesky as hell. That's for sure. Okay, so now what we need to do is our PS tooltips divs. We need to take this class so we get our hover effect, and I'm going to add in a code block. So code block is going to be PHP, comment that out. CSS, we're going to go .ps tooltip divs, and then what was our other class? PS tooltips text. And then I lost my code block here. So we're going to go like this. So be it PS tooltip divs hover, and then our tooltip divs text is going to be border bottom solid 2 pixel, and then what was our RGB, or not RGB, our hex color here. So does that work? Yeah, perfect. So now we need to add that transition effect, transition 0.2 ease in out, right? Isn't that the, or is it timing function? Transition timing function ease in out, I believe. Transition 0.2 like that, right? 0.2 is a bit slow, to be honest. I'm gonna go with 0.1. So like that, yeah, that looks good. Elijah says it was St. Louis last year unless they have it at the same city twice. So St. Louis again, but it probably be next year. Yeah. Martin, thank you so much. I will take you up on that offer. I don't care where I go in Europe as long as anywhere. I've had 2 trips to Europe that have both been canceled for various reasons. So now we basically just achieved with that simple CSS. Anywhere you hover on these divs, it has that border effect under the text, which actually we don't really need this to be 100% width because that border doesn't need to extend to the far edges there. So that will be totally sufficient to just leave it like that and let its width just be whatever it actually needs. So the other 2 here is premium forums and then Facebook and Discord. So premium forums and then Facebook group and Discord like that. Okay. So that is pretty consistent with what we have here, except, oh no, the text is about the same size. I'm just super zoomed in. Stratus, so basically my brother and his girlfriend and I were flying to Amsterdam, and then we're going to spend a week there. And then we're flying from Amsterdam to Athens, spending a few days there. And then after that, we were going to Santorini. So unfortunately, that didn't work out. But hopefully later this year I can get out there again. Now this challenge is going to be hovering over this text, then pops up a div that will have some extra text inside of it. So that is where I essentially am planning to steal your work, Elijah, from a year and a half ago. And more or less, from what I understand, we have a div that is essentially just hidden until you hover over this. And in the style sheet here, you change the position from left off the screen back to 0, and then the opacity is set to 1. Strata said when? Well, if you know, we can travel, it would be hopefully late summer, like September, something like that. But that's wishful thinking at this point. So Jillian, that actually is a good point. The Oxy Extras, let's see if I can get there real quick. So Oxy Extras has a pretty cool component in their docs. So actually it's not called tooltip, it's like pop over. Hotspot and popover. So this would be basically exactly what we wanted, where like you have this, you have this like point that you hover over, but I don't think that, like I didn't want to do it just to like have another plugin involved, and I don't think this is going to be particularly hard. I say that now, 2 hours are going to pass by and then we're going to have completed this. But yeah, Oxy Extras has this, so that might be kind of cool. But we will skip over that for now. So I haven't saved in a while. I'm going to do that. And what I'm assuming we need to do is we need to add more divs in here. And these are going to be the ones that essentially go away. Oxy Power Pack I stopped using a while back because it seems like it hasn't been updated in forever. So I don't really know what happened to that. So let's actually go back over here to Elijah's video. And let's see, you added the first div a little bit further back, it looks like. So you didn't change the positioning for quite a while so you could actually see it when you're working with it. So where did you set it to disappear? It looks like it's a little bit further on. Oh, so right here. Just getting to it. Yeah, I didn't want to use JS either because you can do this without having any extra plugins, unless I'm wrong, unless there's a code block somewhere in here, but I don't think there is. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Hopefully I don't get copyright struck. I'm gonna not play that audio. I don't actually know what the difference is. So basically, the div right there is set to position top 100%, and it's set to absolute. Kyle, yes, that's exactly what happens. This is Inception right here. All right, so now what I'm going to do, actually, we probably need to stick this div inside of the other one. So let's go with PS tooltip div. Tooltip divs content is going to be our class. I'm going to duplicate this 3 times, take this one and stick it inside of this, pop these inside of here, and then is that one the last one? Yes, it is. So now we need to see how much spacing was in our mockup. Looks like 34 over there, but that's not quite what I'm after. So 24 is what I'm going to do, top and bottom, and then 30 left and right. So that's not quite equal, but that's what I'm going to do. So we'll set our background here to white, and then 24 and 32 is what we'll do here. And then text, let's just steal some text right out of here. So I'm going to do this. And this doesn't look great at the moment. So now we go to layout and then absolute. We're going to go left 100, right? And then we need to set this one to layout of relative, I believe. Yep. Okay, so we're getting there. This is roughly how we need it. And then these other ones, Do 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 do. I'm trying to think. These other ones also appear currently. So let's actually delete them right now so that they're not confusing us. I am going to delete this. And then this guy, let's add maybe like 10 pixels of margin to push it ever so slightly to the left. And then print it. I don't know what you're talking about. And now back over to the video real quick. And then in a little bit, Elijah adds some CSS. So basically it was your parent div hover and then the name of the tooltip. So it's left 0 and opacity 1. But I'll need to change that positioning because you did left like 9,000, so it's like off the screen, I'm pretty sure. So in our code block from earlier, we're going to take this div, which is our tooltips container, in our CSS here. So there's that, and then we got to add one more, which was PS tooltips divs, I believe. And that's going to be hover, oops, hover like this. And then, what was it, position? I already forgot. Oh, it's left 0 and then opacity 1. So left 0 and then opacity 1, right? You can also just do pointer events none when the tooltip isn't active. Yeah. Let's see. So I need to change that. Okay. So thanks, Stratos. Really appreciate the support. So let's see, what was going on in chat here? So you missed an S on tooltips. Oh yeah, I don't know why I had an extra S there. Seems kind of silly. So that's left 0, but that's not exactly what I want. Don't I want to add 100, which is exactly where it is now, right? So that will work. And then how does it know which one to actually pull up? Like if you have multiple of them. I guess I should have watched your entire video. But what I wanted to do, 100%. What I wanted to do was make it so that we're working on this in real time and not have like pre-prepared it because of the live stream, which I guess maybe is a little bit counterintuitive, but that's what I wanted to do. So here we are. So now we would take this div, right? And this is where we essentially stick it off screen. So this is where the layout, we're going to shift to, if I remember right, what did you do? You had absolute 100, and then you changed the opacity to 0. So you did something like 7,000 pixels, right? Or like 9,000 pixels off screen. Something like that. And then you did, let's see, effects, opacity 0, right? Yep. Okay, there we go. So there is that. And then we need the transition. So then this is going to go on, let's see, it's this div, I believe. So our transition will be 0.2, and then ease in, out, and then opacity will be our CSS property. That looks pretty sweet. It's working. This is awesome. Oh, but I need to, I guess I can't use margin on the left side because if you want to like put your mouse in it, then that won't work exactly. So margin, I guess that's why you had that arrow in your example. I also need to make this wider because that does not look good. So let's go like 320. I don't know what it is in the mockup. Let's go take a look. This is 380, so really close. Kyle says it's going to look like shit on my 10,000 pixel wide monitor. I know. Tough luck, buddy. All right, so 380 is what I'm going to do. And then we had some border radius, which we've been using 8 before. So I'm just going to make a wild guess and assume that it's 8. And I don't know what it is. I'm fine with that. Now is the arrow. So I'm 99% sure that you did an arrow in this video, Elijah. Let's see. Or at least I thought you did. Maybe I saw it somewhere else. There was definitely a video of yours that I watched where you did the arrow. I honestly don't know how you do that. Let's see. Okay. So I am okay with this for now, to be honest. And then also, don't we want to change this text to be pointer event cursor? Like this whole div, basically. So our PS tooltips div code block will be .ps tooltips. Oh, so Jason says achieve that with after. Okay, yeah, that rings a bell. So we're gonna go hover, and then pointer is cursor, or what is it? Is it cursor? No. Oh no, it's cursor pointer. Yeah. Pointer. Good Lord. There we go. Now I can type. So now we should have, oh gosh. Why is it going all wild? There we go. So yeah, our cursor now changes to the little hand to give some indication that something is going to happen there, which is pretty sweet. So now we need to basically duplicate this div. Oh wait, no, not that one. This one here, because we deleted them earlier. So now I'm going to put that one there and then duplicate this guy. And I probably should have changed the text inside of them, but I can just delete the positioning real quick. And I guess got to take off the opacity, which is annoying. Whoopsie daisy. So this div had the, let's see. Oh, got to steal it from my current homepage, I guess. This will be this right here. So this div, oh gosh, there we go. And then this div's text will be this one down here. It is straight spazzing out. There we go. So now we can take this div and reapply those settings. So our layout left was like 9999, and then our opacity was at 0. Cool. Let's see, Julian says, one of my clients used a 32-inch screen to look at everything, and oh gosh, yes. Yep, those are horrible. WooCommerce course, dope. This works exactly as it's supposed to. This is awesome. So I think I actually do want some margin because they're not, you don't need to put your mouse inside of these boxes. So that will be fine. Let's see. Anna said try for arrow. So cursor arrow, is that a different one? Oh no, I'm gonna stick with pointer. So that works. So width is 0, height 0, border right 100, border top 50, solid transparent border bottom. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Is that for the arrow on the left side of that div? Oh, I see what you're saying. Try this for the arrow. Oh, wow. Very nice. There seems to be an overflow to the right. Oh yeah. I see what you're talking about. I don't know what, oh, it's these things. Yeah, so there must be something I'm forgetting. So Kyle says, looks really great, man. I put some margin on the left of the tooltip box. Okay. Appreciate that a lot. I had to double check myself and see if you're just joking or not. I'm like, just kidding. No, I really appreciate that. So margin on the left of the tooltip box. Right now I have 10. So maybe we should bump that up to something consistent like 16 because that's what we've been doing. I also wish that it was the same width. So maybe on this second one, I add a bit more to keep it consistent. So 32. I want it to open like essentially in the same spot, or roughly. So I'm going to bump this out a bit more, maybe like 45. It doesn't really seem like it's helping. 64? Yeah, I think that looks a bit better. Even though they're not all exactly the same, I think it's a bit less jarring. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okay, so this is going to be the before state of those div boxes. Is that what you're saying? So the state is before, and then the content, I actually don't know what the content is supposed to be. Yep, exactly. It's like the boy who cried wolf. That's what I was thinking. Extend the length of the second links container. Yeah, I could do that, although it will adjust the border a bit. So I could go with, what is it going to be? 320. Oh yeah, if they're all the same, then I don't have to worry about the margin. You're right. You're right, Jill. All right. So with this, I don't need that anymore. So I'm going to take off the 64. So now are they all in the same spot? They sure are. Perfect. So the content of that div before it content is just going to be that. Oh, good Lord. That looks horrible. Expand woo prem fact to 100%. I don't know. I'm actually pretty happy with this, even despite not having the arrow. So to be honest, I am gonna move on. So with this, I wanted to adjust this on mobile real quick. So the boy was an ass. Yep. So let's see. What did I do here for the positioning? This div's width is 100%. And then this one is 30, and that one doesn't actually have a width. So let's change this to like 65. And then, and I'm not trying to like make you do no work. I just don't want to get hung up on that right now because we still have more to do. I'm going to come back to that later though. So 1440, let's see, that doesn't really look all that great. It works, but it doesn't look that great. And then 992, we're going to do vertical. And then this div, its width is going to be 100%. How these tooltips work at this point, we might have to change to be on the bottom instead. Kyle says, make an arrow, make an, okay. All right. I guess. I don't want to, but I guess. So at this breakpoint, I want to change this width to 100% real quick. Oh, no, not 100. Whoops. To basically just pixels. Go auto like that. So our tooltip does fit here, but I actually don't know if this is going to work on a real device at 992. So at 768, I think what we're going to need to do is make this tooltip go down to the bottom. So then instead of it being the layout absolute of left 100, we're going to go top. Wait, is it going to be left 0? Top 100, or is it going to be 50%? 50, 0. Dang it. On mobile, how would you know there's a tooltip to click as you would normally be scrolling around? Good question. I don't really know. Maybe we can add a down arrow or something to indicate that there is something else there for us. That is a good point. Maybe there's not a point to have the tooltip on mobile. I do know from analytics that the vast majority of users are desktop on this particular site, but I know that's the exception. That's not the norm. So let's see here. I'm trying to think. What do I want to do? Proximity sensor. That sounds fancy. All right, so with the arrow situation, I guess I still don't quite understand the, oops, I guess I'm gonna have to undo my settings again so that we can actually see this. So effects, transition, no, not transition, opacity, change this back to 1, and then our layout here is going to be like that. So we need to display none these other ones so that we can actually function here real quick and then see this. So Chris says you could, oh my Lord, sorry. Gonna give somebody a seizure here, I apologize. This, I need to get further over to the left because this is not working. There we go. Okay. You could potentially add a little eye icon for information, and when you tap it, it opens the tooltip. That's a good idea. That's probably the solution. Okay. So let me see if I can pull up that arrow thing. So arrow on div. I'm trying to think. I wish Elijah was still in here. I'm gonna be like, yo. Because Anna, I don't quite understand what you were saying. Like, I think that's how Elijah achieved it, was like the before state, and then going back in chat here, a width of 0, height of 0, border right 100, border top 50, border bottom 50. I'm assuming you would need to do that in a code block though, right? Looking up this other tutorial real quick. Arrow left. So what about if I go, you need to style a before state, right? Border right, bottom top. No, that's okay. I'm just trying to understand. It's hard to get the like full point in chat. So, I'm looking at this CSS triangle thing. So do we have a second div? Body. Yeah, okay, so there's another div in there. So if I were to go with a div, and then this one is going to have a width of 0 and a height of 0, and then border top, bottom, and right of 10. Hey, wasn't there a dashed border on the bottom in the mockup? I think that's a good hint for the tooltip too. Oh, yeah. You're right. You are totally right. So it's on the bottom, and then when you hover over it, it changes to the full solid. That's a good idea. So is that the whole container, or just, okay, it's just under the text. So actually, earlier I set there to be no border on the bottom, but what if we change this to be our same blue, and then it's dashed, and then when we hover over it, it goes to solid. Great point, Jan. Really appreciate that. That does indicate there's something going on there. So yeah, perfect. So now this div, I'm trying to follow this CSS tutorial that I found, but I don't really think this is going to work. So border, top is 10 pixels, solid, and it's set to a transparent color. Then the same for bottom. So white with full transparency, and it's set to 10, and then border right as well. So white, oops, white, there we go, 0, 10, and then now, how do we position this exactly? So this is going to be, I wonder if I just use some negative margin real quick to pull it over. Of course not. Let's see. That doesn't work. Do. How did you do that arrow on a div? Not a dog, a div. There we go. I'm messaging Elijah real quick to ask him how he did that. Come back. Transform skew 45% relative negative 50. Does that work? Did you just try that? Yeah. Should ignore that. Cool. Okay. Hopefully he comes back in, because that would be super helpful to have him in there. Until I figure out a different solution, I'm going to move on here because I don't want to get caught up on this. We are doing really well, so I don't want to mess this stuff up too badly. Now, I need to go... fix this position, because somebody pointed out that there was an issue with the scroll bar, and maybe it's because I didn't do negative. I did 9,000 off to the left. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, so that's good. And then effects, opacity will be 0. Oh no, wrong div. Undo to the rescue. Undo. There we go. Wrong div. So layout is going to be back to pixels and then negative 9999. So there's that. And then effects, opacity will be 0. And then do we have our hover still? Yes, but I displayed none of these, so I need to take that off. There we go. That one's fixed. And then layout, display none, done. Okay, cool. So there's that, and we're going to move on. So read the reviews. This one should be relatively straightforward. We are going to add in another div here. So this div will go right there, 100%, and we're going to add our PS divs class. I think, what was it called? PS div padding, that's what it is. PS div padding, there we go. And then inside of this, we need another one. So that guy will go right there. And then read the reviews. We have some text, and then our slider with the sweet little quote icon, the person's picture, their name, and their title, or like their business name. So I'm just going to do a couple of these. Let's take the read the reviews. Let's look at this. So we have Montserrat, extra bold, size 40. And then regular 32 line height and a 20 pixel size. Okay, so we're going to add in the heading, and let's use our H1 class, but we're going to change this to a tag of like H3 just to make this really simple. So read the reviews. This is not the way you should name your classes, but that is something I'm going to do for this moment to save some time. So then we have this text here, and the size was 20. So we're going to change that. And then I'm assuming there's 16 pixels of margin underneath this. We're going to add in just the basic slider component, even though it's not the most ideal thing ever. It's going to work just fine for what we need. So let's go ahead and set up one of these slides. Anna says, I copied a full style from one of my sites. Come to it whenever you have time. Okay, perfect. So as soon as you can share that, then we'll revisit that in just a little bit. J1M says, what software are you using for the design? It's actually in Figma. So it's the like web-based mockup tool. It's really, really great. I like it a lot. So that's actually 36 pixels. So we do need a bit more underneath this. So instead of 16, it was 36. Is this in the slider? Oh no, that's in the div. Okay. H2 after content position. Okay, so did you just do that in a code block, Anna? Or is that like done all in Oxygen? Excuse me. Gosh. All right. Now, what do we have? So the text with the quote icon, we have this sweet div inside of it with this off kind of like bluish white color, which I really love. And what we're going to do is inside of our slide, we're going to add in another div. This is going to be PS reviews divs. Background color is this, which I don't think we have. I'm going to go double check real quick. EAF3, yeah, we don't have that. Okay, so then this is how wide? It is 760. So we're going to go max width of 760 and then set the width to 100%. Then how much padding is inside of this? It is about 23. We're going to go, let's go 24 top and bottom and then 48 on the right. 24 and then 48. And then our quote icon is going to take up some space over here on the left, which is why it's a bit off. But that blue thing is not centered, is it? Oh yeah, I guess it is. The quote is slightly off to the left. So now we need to add in our text. We're just going to do this. And then we need to add in our quote icon as well. So inside of our slide, let's go pop in an image. Oops, not a slide. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. How did that happen? I've never seen that option before. Add slide. Weird. Is that like the WordPress element? I can't delete it for some reason. What? Can I do undo? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Jan says, kind of off topic and don't know if you already mentioned, maybe you want to center the menu for screens over 1920. Yeah, probably so. I bet you're right there. Okay, so, oh yeah, I was trying to add the image. Did you see that, Elijah? What I was just kind of struggling with? Not really a huge deal, but little issue there. Undo to the rescue though, in that case. So I just want to take this quote icon and export this. I'm going to upload this guy to the media library. And then there we go. Select this image and then we're going to change this to be layout. We want absolute. Do we go like negative? Let's see, 0. And then this slide we want to change to relative, right? Or is this absolute and that one is relative? An open bug report for that slide issue, yeah. That's good. Do we set our slide here to center? That doesn't do anything because I jacked up the positioning here, just trying to get that this image slightly off to the side. So if we stick this here and then we go negative margin of like 50, that's not going to work because I changed this. But I want it inside of this div, I do believe, like to the left of the text. So we're going to go horizontal, middle. Then we're going to take this image and we're going to go not negative 50 that way. We're going to go negative 50 this way or negative 100. That looks roughly okay. And then how much space is there between the text and that? There's 44 pixels. So we're going to go 44. And then there's that. Okay, cool. So that looks roughly appropriate. It's a little bit off with the colors here. So how does it line up exactly? I went a little bit too far, as it turns out. So we don't need quite that much negative margin on the left. So negative 50. Yeah, that's perfect. We're going to go 50. And then this text is a size 20, light italic. So font size of 20. And then typography is italic. And then I think the font weight was a bit lighter. Like that. Is that right? And then the color is a full black. Yeah, okay. And I should have added a class to this text. So I am going to go PS reviews text, and then I'm going to copy my styles from the ID to the class. And there we go. So now it'll be easy to replicate that. So now on this slide, oh, I need to do a little bit more. So underneath this div, I am going to add in, do I need another div here? Oh no, it's underneath that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is take this text, we're gonna wrap this with a div. Our text, let's see how much space we have underneath that. We have 30, oops, oh, 32, yep. And then, so 32, then we need another div inside of this, which is gonna contain that image, and then also the text and the name. I just left a bug report for a hard-coded image and a design set. Dentist hero, I lost an hour. Oh, it's kind of a bummer. Sorry to hear that. All right, so then an image. We are going to steal Elijah's face out of here. I need to get the actual photos for the real reviews here. And then what do we have? So this is a font size of 24 and bold. And then we have their title. So we're going to go with image, upload, picture of Elijah. And it has kind of a lift effect on it already. So we're not going to worry about box shadow or anything like that. Then with this div, let's see. So we have an image, and then let's add one more div. I'm going to use grid here. So grid column count of 2. And then actually we're going to do 3. No, we're not going to do div. Grid. We're just going to use this. And then we're going to use 16 pixels of margin to the right of his photo. Add in a class here for PS reviews name is what we're going to use. And then it was 20, I believe. 24. And then 20, bold. 4 pixels of padding or margin, whatever it is. 24, and then 600 ELIJ mils. And then there's only 4 pixels of margin, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it will work just fine. And then oxygen. I'm going to change that, of course. Just using this as an example here. So that is 16 and regular. So we're just going to leave that exactly as is. Now, I am just going to duplicate this slide a couple of times. So bam, bam, bam. And then we're going to delete these slides here. And that will work just fine for now. So we'll save that guy. And then because I don't actually have real reviews in this just yet, I am going to set this to only be seen by the user role of me. And then what else do we have in our mockup? I think this is the lifetime deal section. And then we have the repeater. So after this, we're going to wrap it up. Now, do another div here. Let me make sure I'm in my body so it doesn't actually add it inside of one of the other ones. So width 100. Then div is going to be div padding. Center this guy. And actually, how are we going to lay this out? Let me think about this. So our first one, we're going to use the background image and then a gradient, it looks like. Then we're going to have this big image on the left-hand side. Let me zoom out a bit so we can see the whole thing. And then we have pricing, title, text, cost, and buy. Okay, this should be pretty straightforward. So let's go 100% here. Or actually, we want our div padding on this one, not this one. So then this one now doesn't need this class. And we can set this guy to 100%, and it should be inside the bounds, and there it is. So this background image, I actually don't think I have that photo uploaded, so let me go snag that real quick. So we'll export this image, and then let's take a look. There should be a gradient on top of this. Let's see, overlay, where is it? I'm just going to use the same colors from before from our header. So we'll use this as our image. And then why did it? Oh, it's because I added it to the class. Whoops. I need to add it to the ID, not the class. So there's that. And then our gradient is going to be add our colors from earlier, which was the blue first, I believe, and then the purple on the right side. Then we need to set the angle of 90. And then we're going to go to background blend mode. We used overlay like that. Perfect. Then inside of this, we had our image on the left with a bit of an overlay. So I believe I already have that image downloaded. Oh, not video. We want image. So upload. There it is. Okay, so we have that, but now I actually want no padding in this main kind of parent div at the top so that we can get our image to basically overlay. So we're going to go negative. I don't know what it is exactly. Oh, not padding. We want negative margin. So how far up does it go? I wonder if we can measure that. 56. Wow, the Figma measurement tools are pretty slick. So negative 56. And then we also don't need any padding on the bottom either because our image should be at the far edge according to the mockup like that. And then this div is set to 100%, but that's our container here. So how wide is the image? It is 700, so that's basically 50% because our page container width is 1440. So what I'm going to do is just change this width to like 49% to give it some breathing room. And then we're going to add in another div on the right side. So we'll set this guy to horizontal. And then I think we'll just do middle. Yeah, we'll just do middle. And then we have kind of like a subheading. So let's just call this like PS heading sub. Then that is white with a 60% opacity. It's font size of 16 and it's bold with some letter spacing. So white with a 60% opacity. Oh gosh, I'm just going to type it. Sometimes I can never get it exactly right. Font size of 16. Typography is uppercase and letter spacing is a bit wider. I think we were using roughly 2, if I remember right. And then 700. And I'm assuming that this is going to need about 8 or 16 pixels of padding. Excuse me, margin on the bottom. So now, let's see. I'm actually going to zoom in a bit so we can measure it for real. So that's 12 plus whatever the line height is. So 16 roughly. That's good. Then this one is extra bold, 40 and white. So what we're going to do is actually, let me change the heading tag real quick. It's not an H1. Let's go H4. And this one is going to be a tag of H3, but we're going to use our H1 class and change it to a text color of white. And then I can't even remember what my own site says. It says lifetime deal. And I'm going to copy this text so we don't have to come back here again. So lifetime deal. Okay. And then that's much bigger. It's 40. Here I am saying let's do it so we don't have to come back and forth, and there I am going back and forth again. And then what else do we have? It looks like there's a bit of extra letter spacing there, but according to the mockup there's not. So maybe it's just me being a little particular about it. And then we're going to add in some text. This text, I want all this to be left aligned. So pricing, and then this guy is regular and 20. Font size of 20 and white. So we'll call this pricing up there. And then this text down below. Let's see, how much padding is there? It says 12 once again. So we'll just do 12, and then $99 is 64 font size. So we're just going to add in some text. The font weight will be 700, 64, text color is white, and then 99. And then right underneath that, I'm going to add in just a simple text block that says one time. And let's just do, let's see, what else do we have? Nothing. So it's just regular font size and it's 16. So there's a little slash there. So I'm going to add that in. And then last but not least, we need a button. So we're going to pop in a link wrapper. And then we had a button class, I believe, PS button medium. And this one is, oh, it's the red one. Okay. So we're going to add that other class. So PS button red. And inside of that, we're going to put a button that says buy now. And then this is going to link to the lifetime course package. Yep. Add that link. And then we need some padding below that. What is it? 20. So 20 pixels of margin underneath that. And then our section, our div here is a little bit taller. Where did I set the height? Was it in this one? Let's see. Trying to remember. I guess I didn't set a height. Why is it pushing to the edges like that? I guess I need to look at this div. So there's 55 pixels on the bottom and 45 on the top. So on this div, we're going to go 45, 55. And then this one, if we change this width, does it then expand? For some reason, oh, it's because the margin on the bottom, that padding on the bottom there. So what if we go 45, whatever it takes to get it to actually line up. Oh, what about if I do this? That's going to clean it up just a little bit. And then can I reduce the line height of that pricing? I think I will. So our line height there is just going to switch to 1. And then our div at the top here doesn't need as much spacing. In fact, let's just get rid of it altogether so it's centered. Yeah, there we go. So that one looks good. I will leave that as is for now, except let's just check real quick on the mobile side of things. That doesn't need to be that wide here. So let's change this to like 35%, maybe 45. 35 looks good. And if it's horizontal, let's go space between. Does this not have a width set? No, it doesn't. Maybe that was part of our problem here. So this image, we had it at 49, and then this one, let's set at 49% width as well. So then when our screen size shrinks, should be much more well behaved. We'll go 40%, give it some extra breathing room, and then I think at less than 992, let's make this stack. Oh, wrong div. So stack here. We're going to change this whole div to be 100% of its container, and then I'm going to leave that image as is for now. That'll be fine. And we probably need to adjust some of that padding from this class here. So PS divs padding at 768, we're going to drop it down from 100 to 50. And then at 480, we're going to go 25, 25, like that. Now, this particular section needs more on mobile. So let's go back to 992. And we're going to go 40. 768. Yep, okay, that looks good. Perfect. Our slider up there is messed up, but we won't worry about that for now. Cool. So we have been at this a long time now, and I am getting ready for some lunch here. So we're going to do the last section, and then we will move on. We'll close out for the day, is what I'm trying to say. So div, we're going to do div padding right there. And then inside of this, add another one, 100%. So then what we're going to do is in this, we're going to stick in a repeater. We're going to go with a grid layout. It'll be column count of 3. And then we want it to look like this. So this should be pretty straightforward to achieve. I'm going to zoom in on one of these. Chris, I'm really glad you've enjoyed it. You've been here a long time. I appreciate it. Referring to the previous arrow, transform and rotate 45 degrees. Oh, yeah, I guess you could just use an arrow, like an actual arrow. That'd be kind of neat. Okay, so what we're going to do is change our repeater query type to post. So we're going to apply that. Then let's go to count. I think it's like 12, or maybe if there's 3 in a row, let's go 15 for now. 15 is a lot, so maybe we'll change that. But let's use an image, and then our data is going to be post featured image. I think medium will be good enough. Nope, no it won't. Let's just insert the image, it'll be fine. The images aren't that big anyway. So then we'll round those corners in just a bit, but we have 28 pixels, but we need one div that's going to contain all of this. So that should be pretty straightforward. So underneath this image, let's go 24 pixels. We're going to add in another div whose width is 100%. The background color, do we already have that as a global color? No, we don't. So it is this color. Well, actually, I guess I've used that, but I didn't save it as a global color. So it's going to be background of that. Come on now. There we go. And then what do we need as padding inside of this? So 28, 32. I'm going to go 28 all the way around. And then we have the heading tag. We're going to go H3, and insert data will be post title. Okay, there's that. And then these are bold and font size of 24. So 700 font size of 24. I hate that some of these drop to 3 lines, but that's just the way it's going to be. So I will live with it for the time being. And then what do we have? So 12, then the excerpt, and then 22. So 12 pixels of margin underneath this. Then we have the text, which I don't think these excerpts are going to look all that clean, so I might need to change this. Yeah, I'm going to need to reduce the length of these. Can I set a max height on it as like a straight up hack? What about 125? And then layout, overflow, hidden. That looks like straight garbage, but that's what I'm going to do for now, just for the sake of time. And then our link wrapper, we're going to go with the medium class again. And then we're going to go with the red, but then we're going to go invert this. So PS button red invert. And then what's going to happen on this is our border and our text is going to be red. So typography is going to be this color. And then our border on all sides is going to be that color. Then the background will be just transparent, I believe. Right? Yeah. And then our text inside of it is going to be, once it loads, it's going to be oh gosh, I've clicked on this 3 times. Read more, like that. And we need to set this link wrapper to our post permalink, like so. And then, oh, I guess I didn't set the other parameters of the border. So we need to go red to solid, like that. And then on our hover state, we are just essentially going to invert it. So then it's going to be, wait, what are these other buttons? So it's just all red and then the text is white. So then the border color is going to stay the same, but our background color is going to shift to red, and then the typography will shift to white, like so. Cool. So there's that, and it's got that transition because it's inheriting from an earlier class, which is super cool. The only thing is that they're not matching in height because some of these titles are longer. So I never really know what the solution is there, but in this case, if we just go back to our repeater grid layout, we can go stretch. Nope, of course not. Why doesn't that work? So easy to do query visually. I love Oxygen. Yeah, this is like my favorite thing in Oxygen. For some reason, now I have a gap between these, which I didn't have there before. So I want to save real quick and look on the front end. So if I scroll way down to some of this stuff, then I don't know why I got that gap suddenly. Maybe it's because the grid layout, if I go back to start, center, bottom, top. Oh my gosh, come on. What did I do? Is it this margin? Yeah, okay, that was my fault. And then we need to set the div border radius, which we've been using 8 pretty much everywhere. So border is 8. And then, for whatever reason, I didn't get those border radiuses. So this is a good example of where we can go edit individual radii. So top and right is going to be 8. And then on this div down here, we're going to go border radii, bottom left, bottom right as 8 as well. And did that do it? Yeah, it did. Although I feel like, no, that's pretty close. Yeah, it's a border radius of 8. So everything's been pretty consistent all the way around. In the mockup here, everything is the same height, but I think the text has been modified to fit. So I think what we've done will work. The only thing that I wish would be, do we need to set the div height to 100%? Is that going to work? I thought that works. Okay, yeah, that works. That works. It just didn't in the back end. So that will work perfectly fine. Min height your heading. So this works on the front end. Actually, it may be because of my screen width. Yeah, it is because my screen width was wide enough to fit them. But that looks okay. The only other thing that we need to do real quick is just adjust our grid as our screen size shrinks. So let's go back to our grid layout at 1440. Let me make sure I have my repeater selected here. So 1440, it's kind of crammed. 992, we're going to drop to a column count of 2, and then that overflows. So do we need to set this to a width of 100? That doesn't look all that great, but I'm going to leave it for now. And then under 768, the grid layout is just going to drop to column count of 1. It doesn't even look like I have to change it because it was just going to do it for me, but I just want to make sure that it all looks good. So that works. Cool. So that is essentially where I want it to be. The only thing I haven't done real quick is make these match. There's a couple suggestions here in chat. Paragraph, white space, no wrap, overflow hidden, text overflow ellipse, max with 200. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. White space, no wrap. I'm going to copy that real quick. So we're just going to take the ID of this text in just a second, stick in a code block, and it's going to be, oh, whoops, not that. Getting a little ahead of myself there. So my text ID is this guy. So go back to my code block, paste that in there like that. And then we need to comment out that PHP. So there's that. Okay. So what did I do to make this look like not good? It's not super short. What did I do? I think what I should do is use like a code snippet to change the actual excerpt length so it's consistent. So max width of 200 is not quite as wide. So 300, and then do I need a max height? Let's see. Does that work? Height will be 100 pixels. I don't know why it's cut off like that. There we go. Function, custom. All right, let's go do that real quick. So let's see, we'll just go over here to the themes option, snippets, add new, excerpt length, and then use dynamic data PHP function value and call is custom excerpt with the lengths as your parameter. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so excerpt length, so save, and then this excerpt, I want it to regenerate so we can actually see it, because it still looks like it's trying to pull in the other thing. So anyway, we'll go to insert data, PHP, is custom excerpt as our function name. And then the function arguments, let's go like 120, because I'm assuming it's characters. What did I do to destroy the height and width and stuff here? Maybe I need to save and refresh. That's what I'm going to do. So save, refresh, and we should be got. Oh, that's an L at the beginning. LS, custom excerpt. Gotcha. So let's go double check our repeater. Got a lot more down here. Oh, there it is. So did that work? I guess 120 might be a bit too much. Okay, it's words. Gotcha. So ls custom excerpt, and then let's go like 40. If it is words, then we're gonna go 40. Sweet. That's about as good as it's gonna get, I think. Looks like just some words are longer than others, so that's fine. I'm happy with that. So now what I'm gonna do is I have this div here that looks a million times better than the other one where I have these recent posts. So I am going to take this one here, move it up there. What just happened to my div? So I want this outside of the section. Maybe it's not going to let me do that. So that pricing, we can essentially get rid of that section. This section here, we can get rid of that. So then this one, we can move up. So I'm going to move this up above here. And then this div, I'm going to move up above there as well. And then this div is our membership one. That is jacked up on mobile, so I'm not ready to release that one yet. And then, let's see, there's so much extra space down here. And I don't know why. Then there's this. Was there something wrong with this? I can't remember. Did we sort this one out on mobile? It doesn't look like it. No, so this one's really close. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the grid layout here. So at 1440, then let's make this a grid column count of 2. That looks super dope. I love that, actually. And then 992. It's too crammed, so I'm going to go grid column count of 1. And why is this not stacking properly? So there's that column span of 1. Oh, was it widths? Weren't we messing with widths? That's so weird. Why is this not working? Because I'm at 992 and I said grid column count of 1. I don't understand. There's still 2 columns there as well. Oh, set a min-max width on your column. Max width is 1 FR, right? Oh, okay. But now why are they stacking on top of each other? Is it because of height? Did we play with height earlier? Set a min-max width on your column setting. So I did that, and then they still aren't quite working. So that looks really good. 992. Why would it be stacking like this? So grid. Gap. Try the row min-max as well. Where is that? Is that what you mean? Change it to explicit? So it's not that. Is it row count of 5? No. Oh wait, that's min height of 1 pixel. Max height. What did I do? This is, oh man, we're so close to the end. I just wanted to make this function on the front end. What did I do wrong? So there's 20 pixels of margin on the left of that one. Does that have anything to do with it? Well, I need to get rid of that anyway. The width doesn't do anything. Auto fit. I don't understand. Oh, is that all it took, was setting the column span to 1? That feels really silly. Okay. And there's that. And then 480. Okay, that looks good. So now this is going to become the very first div on the top of the site. So that's going to go there. And then I can take off the conditions. So I went kind of quickly there, but the solution ended up being at 992. I ended up setting the column span to 1. Yep. Cool. Okay. So there's that. And then I wanted to make sure that this section has those changes that I made to the div paddings. So 768, I think I need to go at 992. Let's change this to 75 instead of 100. And then it goes 50 and then 25. So everything doesn't look so crammed, which is good. So then I actually wanted to take a look at my real phone real quick and see what it looks like, because I think there's probably still some issues, but it's going to be like the testimonial thing. Anna says, awesome, I'm new to auction and learned a lot just watching you. Great job. Thank you. You're so welcome. I appreciate your help as well. Very much appreciated. I can get rid of this section now. So that doesn't need to be there. This doesn't need to be there. This whole section doesn't need to be there. This one I am going to keep for the moment because I still need to fix the other one. The reviews I am going to leave. This one is good. This one is good. And then let's see, this one down here is not ready yet. So I am going to set this to administrator. Let's see, user role is administrator. And then last but not least, this one down here, I just need to actually add the real reviews. So there is that. Awesome. Chris, thank you so much. I am heading off for lunch as well. Jill, thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate every single one of you watching this whole time. We've had an insane number of viewers the entire time, and I just can't thank you guys enough for the support. This is, what are we at? Holy crap, we're at 3 hours and 48 minutes. Absolutely amazing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and wow, Chris, thank you so much. Really appreciate that donation. Super, super awesome. Just incredible how, you know, supportive you guys always are. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, if you guys are interested in more of these live streams on the regular, that is something I'm considering doing. So I appreciate all the support. I was considering maybe doing Tuesdays and Fridays as a possibility, but probably not going to commit to a schedule just yet. So Chris, again, thank you so much for that donation. And I really appreciate it. So until next time, everybody, bye for now.